All right, we are here doing podcast stuff. Welcome to episode 30 of the GrindWorks podcast with John Corts.
Yo.
You may know some information around John that just recently dropped, but I'm sure we're going to talk about that more in depth. Anyway, John has been a welder for FBM for how many years was that?
I think about 12 years total with a little gap in the midst of it on a vacation trip life thing.
Okay. And you welded for other companies before that too, in like spurts, right?
Yeah, I worked at Solid for about a year, a little over a year maybe, where I would drive up from San Diego and then work for a little bit, sleep on the shop floor, and drive back home. Work at a bike shop for a few weeks and then head back up and do some welding. Work like 16-hour days and just sleep on the floor. It was awesome. Slept on a cardboard box as my pad.
Nice.
My pad.
Yeah.
Yeah, we also have Tom Beckman just sitting in the background here. Just chilling. Yeah, I mean, I guess start out with like a little bit of history demographic as you would like to.
All right.
And then, we'll talk about kind of present day stuff, what you got going on.
Sweet. I started welding when I was 17. Frames. I welded my first bike when I was 17 years old. I worked got a job at a muffler shop, HMF Engineering. Welding stainless exhaust for four-wheelers and sport bikes and dirt bikes and shit like that. But they were also making Capricorn bike frames for Joe Purcell. He was kind of a Changa local. He got me the job in the first place because he knew I wanted to be. And that's why I learned to weld, so I could weld frames. And he eventually stopped doing that, so we started our own company. Josh Shriver and I. We called it FKR, Fucker Bikes. We made a decent amount of frames, ran an ad in BMX Plus, and then Carrie Sayer called me up to move to New York and work for FBM, and I did that in 2004. I moved there.
Okay.
And I moved. The first day was the day right after the 4th of July. Like, oh boy, here we go. See how it goes. Everybody's gonna be drunk, right? Of course not. It's just people. But it was sweet. Worked there for a while. Started out, obviously, but I started out just processing the tubes. I kind of took Brock's place when he quit. Making all the tubes fit them up for Dave and Ken, and started welding bridges in until I got my legs in the water of actually frame welding. I made a few. Our fixtures were completely different from where I started from. These were more fixed, where you welded it in frame. That's how I was initially doing them. And then I learned Dave's way and better way at FBM. Which, yeah, it's great welding them that way. We tack in frame, weld on table. Our weld sequence is kind of what makes them stay together well. Like, when I weld a frame, it's pretty much the same as when it's all done, same position as when it was tacked. Can usually put them in the frame fixture without having to crank anything down, just spin it, tighten it down, and it's same as it was tacked up, which is, I don't know, to me, ideal.
Yeah, that's really all you can ask for.
Yeah, you're not going to have road vibrations twisting the frame back to crookedness because you had to twist it straight in the first place.
Riding wise, growing up wise, you're Cleveland area, right?
Yeah,
right outside.
I grew up about 40 minutes from Cleveland, 10 minutes away from Changa Roller Skate Park.
Like Changa 1?
Changa 1, yeah, the original Changa, the baby blue low ceiling Changa, where when you ride other parks and then go back, you're like, holy fuck, how did I not hit my head every time I rode? But I mean, you grow up knowing that they're there.
You just get used to it.
You get used to it. There was one line that I would do, like this manual, I would try suck at manuals. But this manual I would always try when I lived there. Fearlessly. Just go up, try it. I even try throwing bar spins into it because why not? Rode East Coast when I moved to FBM for a long time. And then when I went back, every time I jumped up to try this manual, I catch myself just ducking my head because I thought I was going to hit the heater above me. You don't. It's impossible. I don't even think a 7 to 8 foot person could possibly hit their head. But it's in your peripherals. I'm like, well, that's something I don't get to do anymore. Or try, but I never pull it anyway, so what was the point? It was like a 20-foot manual around a corner. I could not handle that anyway, so.
It's funny how like certain tricks like that just don't work for you.
No. It took me like 20 years to learn how to manual. That was out in California. I'm like, I pedaled everywhere. Nothing but hills. So I was like, crank up the hill, like, well, I'll try to manual down it. Why not learn manuals now? I'm pedaling a long ways to the next spot anyway, so I finally learned manuals after more than 15 years of riding.
It's funny.
Yeah. And I learned them the way my friends did in the town over when I grew up, because they didn't have shit to ride, but flat ground, so they could all manual forever, because that's all they could do, really, is practice manually.
Yeah, and you never had to.
I never had to. Yeah, I could. There was street on the way to the skate park, so I would, if I rode there, we rode street on the way, or once I got a car, I just drove there. Or my parents, they would drop me off. I started riding there when I was around 14. Got my first bike at 13. An orange dyno zone. It's pretty sweet. I think that's part of the reason why I like orange frames so much. But yeah, we went once after we got there. Got terrified. Everybody was an asshole. Really, I was just a stupid kid sitting at the bottom of a ramp. And then, get the fuck out of the way!
Yeah.
Yeah, alright. I get that, but I didn't go back for another year until I had a little bit of comfort in actually riding. We had bumps in my buddy's backyard that we called dirt jumps. And basically just 2 roller mounds that you could leave the ground on. And then we made a double once by just digging the middle out. And we're like, yeah, we got a double. Same roller, just
still bump
no
jumps.
middle. Yeah, you couldn't case it. Like, you could bump it. But it's still the same bump jump with no middle. It took us a lot to jump it. We were still scared, even though we already jumped it a million times. But then we got back and started getting comfortable and understanding why they were yelling at us. Like, oh yeah, these fucking kids are just sitting at the bottom of the ramps. Move!
Yeah.
So. And being the Midwest, it was always a courteously brutal way of talking, Fuck you! Get out of the way! Just means, hey man, you're at the bottom of the ramp, watch out. That's how it goes there. Kids nowadays don't like that, though. When you go to Changa 1,
yeah,
the scooter kids, well, for one, you say, hey, can you move? They just look at you. Then you rude to them, and then they just stay there more, not rude to them, but like more aggressive. And they just stay there more because like, don't yell at me.
And then they throw their scooters in front of you.
Yeah. So it's a good way to not get them to ever move anymore. Fucking kids nowadays.
Yeah, you can run into them, though. That works.
Definitely can run into them, yeah. And be like, dude, you were in the way. Sorry, man. Sit the out of the way. Don't sit on the front of the deck of the box show.
Speaking of the get out of the way thing, we were laughing yesterday while we were at the wheel mill about that.
Yeah.
Because there were like 20 kids riding in circles.
Mm-hmm. As you become an adult, especially in a place like the wheel mill, you're like, I'm just going to go to another room. I'll go ride something else and come back. Way easier than trying to deal with getting you guys to move. Although the kids there, I did at one point go, hey, how about you guys just stay on this side and I'll ride this side.
And they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, okay.
Except for like the 2 kids that just didn't participate in that deal.
Yeah, which led to most of them not participating, but luckily they left. They got to ride the ramps.
That's the cool thing about the park room there is that people come in, they ride in circles, and they leave.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, cool.
Sweet, I can go back to actually riding the ramps, which is a rare thing to find nowadays, especially in a setup like that. Just down and back and big quarters, spines, jumps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like a
awesome.
2003 Park Room.
Yes, 2003 Park Room. Brakes on my bike.
Foo to ice.
Yes. Man, it's so good. Having an actual skate park ramp setup is so unheard of. Well, at least where we're at. Well, you're here, but where I'm from, in Ithaca, it's pretty much a non-existent thing nowadays.
Yesterday, we talked with Tom about
Yeah.
about how there's like nothing upstate.
It's awful. It's such a bummer.
Other, breaking free, but if you don't live right in Rochester, it's like a hassle.
It's a 3-hour drive for me to get there. And it's a very fun park. I mean, but it's, comparatively to what I grew up riding, there's nothing really like that anymore. Wheel Mill's definitely about as close as it's going to get. But the cool part about where growing up at East Coast and Changa was it could be a crowded park like the Wheel Mill gets where everybody can ride, but when it's empty, you can just flow the whole place and not have to go from room to room to ride something different.
Yeah, because like Changa now, it's Changa World, but it was Changa 2, right?
Right, it was Changa 2, yeah.
So that place has a whole bunch of awesome transfers in it that you just don't even see anyone hit because
it's nearly
they're
impossible.
too full.
Yeah, and that's a weekday, like nobody there. If you can get a late session, you can finally ride some of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Tom and I went to a contest there September?
Mm-hmm.
Is that when that was?
I think so.
Something like that. It was late fall.
Yeah, it might have been August or September because I think it was the same weekend as the Rockies Jam, right?
It was, yeah. September 28th, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, because I had already been in the works of starting my own thing. I had made the first work frame that I made. I gave away at that contest to the winner of the AM Jam.
Okay.
I didn't even have stickers for it yet, so I had to get his address and mail him some stickers.
Nice. Who won that?
Fuck. I knew that was
coming. Well, it's okay.
Shit, that's so deep too. It was awesome though. He enjoyed it. He killed it too. He was killing it. It was awesome to watch. Man, some of those AMs are really cool. We rode with this one AM. He had skateboarded before, so at least he knew the feel of ramps. But he had, I think that was his third day riding a bicycle.
Third day riding a BMX bike.
Third day riding a BMX bike. He was dropping in off of the top behind the tiny spine mini, the one side with the big sub on it. He was dropping off that into the wedge and learned to do opposite wall rides out of the bank. Or was he dick-footed?
So we don't know if he was doing it opposite
he doesn't
or
either,
regular.
Because he's been riding for 3 days.
So every time he'd drop in,
he was switch-footed.
His left foot was forward.
Or his
Next
right
time
foot.
his right foot was forward. He was so fresh on the bike, he didn't know.
Yeah.
One foot stays forward.
But he learned wall rides.
But it was so cool because at that point there's no switch-footed.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything's normal.
And he was doing rail hops. It was awesome. I'm like,
yeah.
Riding. I think it was like.
I was so stoked he did that wall after.
Had to have been 11 or something.
Yeah, he was real young.
Real young.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And just like super excited, and we were all just like, dude, that is awesome. And we're helping him. Hey, you are dropping in multiple footed. You do it better when you're right foot forward. Mostly just not going at it with back foot wall because that's also. You can't tuck your knee up and do it as well. So he started pulling it, and then he did it in his run, pulled it first try.
That's awesome.
It was really awesome.
Yeah, when I first told him to do that wall after the drop-in, he thought I was messing with him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he thought I was being a dick.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, man, you can do that.
Yeah.
It's going to be way cooler.
It's like riding a bad quarter pipe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's all wall rides are.
Yep. Exactly. Especially like that one's even smooth. It's not even
Mm-hmm.
It's not even one of the worst quarter pipes, you know. It's a so he got it within what, probably 10 tries till he pulled it.
Yeah, pulled it clean.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, no, it didn't take him long, and then he pulled it every try. Well, it was 3 contest runs maybe.
He did 2 runs.
Yeah.
First run he crashed, and second run was pretty dialed.
Yeah.
He had a sketchy ending to his second run, but it was still pretty good.
Right. But yeah. Let's see, where was I? And then so I moved from the Cleveland area to Binghamton, and that was the era when Jeff and Kerry were sales. There was Dave and Ken in the back, doing shop stuff, and then I was a third to the shop.
Yeah, and Brock had just left, you said. So
Brock
that
had
was
left a little while before that. So I initially got a call from Kerry 9 months, I think, about before I started.
Okay.
So apparently it takes my brain the same amount of time as a kid takes to grow to culminate the idea of, all right, I'll do this. But yeah, so that I don't know if Brock had left yet when Kerry had called me about it, but like at the time I enjoyed still working at HMF, but obviously I wanted to be building bikes. That's why I learned to weld in the first place when I was 14. I'm like, fuck going to high school. I'm going to go to the vocational school and learn how to weld. I want to be welding frames. So I started in that route, but after 9 months I started, fuck this place. Fuck being here. I don't want to be here. I'm getting out of Cleveland. I'm going to Binghamton. So I packed up and moved.
I'm not sure that going to Binghamton was an upgrade.
Not exactly an upgrade. At the time,
lateral movement maybe.
Very, very lateral, yes. At the time it really was quite lateral, if not a good move. Nowadays, it's definitely a what the fuck are you doing? Are you trying to ruin your life? But no, it was good. I mean, East Coast was still there. We worked right below it, so after work, I just went upstairs and Jeff and I would just pick an obstacle and ride it all day for a couple weeks. I think we probably rode nothing but the spine for 2 or 3 months in a row. Every day after work, go up there and ride the spine, learn as many tricks as we possibly could, and then go home and have dinner, carry on with home shit. But that's when we started getting real lip techy, coping dancing. We actually had changed it because it was a spine with steel coping, but it stuck up just enough. And it was a perfect width that when you would 3-tap, you get wedged in when you hit perfectly parallel or perpendicular to the coping. So we're like, all right, we're ripping the coping out. We're gonna make a plywood decked top so that we can stop getting wedged trying 3-taps. And that's when that spine changed.
I only rode that spine on and off. That was the first spine I rode.
Okay.
Aside from one at Woodward, I think I rode one at Woodward first, and it might have been the Cloud 9 mini ramp, which is actually terrifying that would have been the first spine I ever hit.
Yeah, a barreled coping spine.
Yeah, 6 foot or whatever it was.
Yeah. That's not a little spine to be learning.
I mean, I was. But
it was also such a well-built spine.
Probably 17. Yeah, I was 17. And I just straight jumped it, probably to flat.
Oh, yeah.
And that was that. And then going back, I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to go ride one of the East Coast now. Now, I almost landed flat every time, or I cased the crap out of it. There were 4 times I hit it straight and proper.
Yeah, and felt good. And you're like, all right, I do like these things, kind of. Next time you'd case the shit out of that coping.
I don't think it was till East Shore that I actually was figuring out how to really ride a street spine.
Getting comfortable on one. Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, I feel like that was late for me.
It's also where what you grew up riding. I grew up riding Changa, and the spine was an obstacle to get to the other things you wanted to ride. So you learn to ride the spine, and it grew too. When we first started, they had a 3-foot coping spine where I first jumped it, and I just Completely went past the landing, landed back wheel on the metal plate, flat as shit. Then they had a 4-foot street spine and then a 6-foot coping spine. And so we had like these levels we could walk right up and grab comfort in the obstacle.
Mm-hmm. That might not be. I'm like thinking now. I almost think that the Micro Mini in the back of East Coast. I think the deck got pushed in and then it became a spine.
Yeah, because it used to be a big wide deck and then it became a spine and a
With that
weird
sub.
step down box jump sub thing.
I liked that sub better when it still had a deck up on top.
Yeah, so you didn't fall into the mini when you put your foot down.
But no, it was. I think that probably was actually the first spine that I rode.
Yeah.
Which
is actually a scary spine because those were both fucking steep quarters.
And double coping.
And coping. And the one had a wedge landing, so if you cased the coping, you landed wedge too, which just hurt.
But it was also a 4-foot.
Right.
Like.
Yeah.
You jump at the flat, no one cares. You start jumping that 5 or 6 foot to flat, and it's not fun anymore.
It starts to hurt your wrists and fold your wheels up. Bend your rims pretty quickly.
Not those Alex triple walls.
No, that's true. Yeah, if you're running the Alex triple walls, that's
throw
those things off the
bend.
Empire State Building and then put them back on your bike and keep going.
My dad backed over mine with his truck the one day. He's like, "Why'd you leave your bike there?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And he's like, "Your rim's probably shot. They were perfectly straight."
Yep. I saw that Instagram page, Y2K BMX.
Mm-hmm.
They posted like some meme that had Alex triple wall with wall rims or wall tires, Primo walls, 48 spoke, and then it had like a whole bunch of I believe it had a whole bunch of just random tools sitting there, and it just said like, "If you know, then you know." And I was like, "Yeah, fuck, I remember those things." Like breaking my dad's screwdrivers trying to get the damn thing off the rim. My brother had those Himoko. I think they were. I forget what the name of them was. It was. I think it was an Alex rim, but it had the extra lip, the case lip. And dude, those were an even double nightmare because you had a wide top to try to get that stupid bead off of, and everybody ran. We all ran wall tires.
I mean, aside from the pair I've got on right now, I still run wall tires.
Right, I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure you still. I know your crank flip shirt has a wall tire.
I have probably 8 of them never ridden in there still.
Even if they were ridden from 1998, they'd still be good.
Yeah, the colored ones.
Be a little
the
drier.
Colored ones dry rot.
Oh,
the
okay.
black ones stay pretty good.
Yeah, but I mean they're still indestructible. Like, and the sidewalls were just as stiff as the tread surface. So, grind all day on the roughest ledge with no wax.
Mm-hmm.
You're fine. You're not gonna rip that sidewall off.
We went to. Well, actually, when we were in Louisville, we went to Florence Park on our way home.
Cool. I love that park.
And we hit that park, and there was like broken glass bottles all in the bottom of the bowl. And there's kids there like, "Oh, no, don't drop in. There's glass." I'm like, "Look at these tires. I'm not afraid of glass." And like, drop right in and crush a bottle, carve around, hit another one, and then fly out. And the kids is like terrified look on his face. Like, why would you do that?
Like, these are practically the military-grade hexagon compressed airless tires.
I'm like, these are the best tires you'll never ride.
Exactly. Because you'll pick it up and you go, I weigh this much. This is how much I weigh as a 13-year-old kid.
I could
weigh
put
the same as these
three regular tires on my bike and still be lighter than this one.
Yeah. Hey, man, rotational weight. That's what we learned. We learned rotational weight with wall tires. Without theories, just
and snafu rim jobs.
Yeah, that was. I think that's actually what the meme was the rim job. Also, way funnier than putting a wall tire on there. You're putting the rim job on there.
Yeah, and the knob job up front.
My buddy ran the knob jobs.
I had rim jobs and knob jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was always
rim
wall in the
job
back, dirt monster in the front.
Yeah.
That was my setup.
Those tires and probably their platform pedal were the best parts Snafu ever made.
Yep.
I never rode their pedals. I had what I have of theirs. I rode their grips for a little bit. I don't remember what they were called, but they had the similar rim job grid pattern. I mostly wanted the grips because they came in that cool tin.
If they didn't come out with them being the hand jobs for the grips, I don't know what they were thinking.
Yeah, right. You gotta keep it going, man.
You did this.
But no, I ran those, and my pedals were always tenderizers. I hated my shins.
You know,
I still have scars from tenderizers on my shins.
I had Odyssey Southgate pedals,
Okay.
which they were not that sharp because they had like the rounded dome nuts on top.
Oh, all right.
But they were the ones that used the skateboard bearing in them, so that it was super easy to replace the bearings.
Oh, cool. Yeah, the Primos did not have anything like that.
But I also alternated between those and like the DK Iron Cross.
Oh, I hated those.
Yeah, they were painful.
Yeah.
The
they
flat is what fucking killed me. It felt like I just wanted to push my feet off the pedals.
See, the Southgates were like that too.
Were they?
They had the knurled body though, so it was,
okay.
It was
It
like
was a grippy
grip
flat.
tape.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that was
that's
always
I still
concave.
like that to
Cool.
me.
The flat pedals.
I'll take flat or concave. I'm not super picky.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my feet hate flat pedals.
Derek likes convex pedals,
I could see that.
which is weird to me, but I think he likes it from the curve for doing pedal grinds.
Okay.
So it never quite bites in.
Mm-hmm. He's always also been a harsh landing guy to where I bet his feet are more pedals on arch as opposed to pedals on balls.
Yeah.
Because
Yep,
when I started riding more street and my ankles started getting more and more painful and doing drops, my feet shifted forward more on my pedals. Plus, I have kind of big feet and running 4 pegs. You clip that back peg more, so my feet shifted forward.
Mm-hmm.
Also, sprained ankles and still riding through them, you gotta do something so they shift forward.
Yep. But yeah, I've never been able to ride like the pedals he likes to ride.
No, I mean he also rides twine as grips sometimes. So.
It's hockey tape.
Oh, okay. Hockey tape.
So it makes some more sense than you would think.
Yeah, I swear I've seen him with twine grips before. Am I making that up? I might be making that up, but I swear I
think
saw.
You're probably thinking because what he does is he'll put the hockey tape on and spin it and then wrap it so that it's got a texture and then he'll go over it so it's got that look like it's twined.
Or maybe it was one of his other just like fuck around
projects.
Bikes, like the dueling bikes. I always liked riding the dueling bikes.
That was
pretty
cool.
fun.
He's got a side hack down there
really
now.
go
That's super
very
fun to nose manual around in.
Oh, because it balances you out. It's just like
Yeah,
a
you just
tripod.
lean forward and counter steer your nose manual.
That's awesome. Hell yeah.
I forget where we were at, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I was talking about initially when I got to FBM.
Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
we were talking about spines.
Oh yeah,
And
that's
then
where
we
it came
just
from.
went off on a tangent.
Tangents, that's gonna happen a lot. I do
Uh-huh.
tangents like crazy.
It's fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you and Jeff were riding the spine a lot.
Yes, Jeff and I would ride just random shit all the time. We'd ride the spine, then we'd go, all right, we're riding the sub rail today. We'll go ride the sub rail for a few hours, try to learn new shit on it. Jeff was a massive motivator, and that got my level of riding way higher than I had ever gotten before. I mean, he's such a talented bike rider, and already good, and he loved continuing to get so, which I do too. So I mean, I still try to learn new shit every time I get a chance. I used to get to say every time I ride, but it's so rare nowadays.
At this point, I've said this a couple of times on the podcast, but at this point, it's about maintaining.
Yeah,
You're like, if I can not lose more tricks, I am stoked.
Yeah, when I get to get a new one in, I'm like beyond ecstatic. So, and I do fall less now while learning new tricks. So I'm like, all right, I'm still sort of maintaining at least the mental capabilities of trying shit. It's still progressing in that
Yeah.
in that sense.
I mean, you've taken a good number of real heavy slams over the years, just like...
Yeah, I feel like, all right, so when my first crash, I did an unturned down over the boxer changa. And I had a baggy shirt on because that was what was cool in 2000.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came out of it, I hooked my shirt and just got caught, collapsed, and broke my wrist. When I got back from the crash, I crashed again. There was a bad crash where I didn't have a helmet on street riding before this. I went to jump a gap, cased a rock, cracked my head open, did a circle trail of blood because I was running it out, and then I ran all the way to the grocery store. My mom showed up, "Where's your fucking helmet?" Freaking out. And luckily, not really, it wasn't dire that I needed medical attention, but as I got to the front of the grocery store, a doctor was coming out, and he always had gloves on. So instantly he was looking at it, make sure I was all right. It was a little gash. I needed stitches. They put me on the gurney and strapped me down. Waited 4 hours to clean my wound. So it was just a massive clot of dried blood that when they came in to clean it, it's just, they're ripping it out. It fucking hurts like hell. They wouldn't unstrap me. And I'm like, Mom, my knees are about to fucking scream and explode after 4 hours of being strapped to a plastic board about as tight as you can go. Why they took so long, it's beyond me, but it was the Elyria Hospital, which is fucking awful. If you ever almost dying in that area, just drive to the Cleveland Clinic. Like, risk it. Because you will not get proper care there. It will suck. Like, it's awful. It's an awful, awful, awful place. But I had my mom, I'm like, fuck this. And she wouldn't unstrap my knees. So I'm like, screw it. I started shifting. I'm like, I just had to bend my knees. That's all they needed to do. But then they came in, cleaned my head out, and just had to rip and pick. But after that, I got back from that injury, which was short. I mean, it was just a cut and a bunch of road rash on my back. And then I broke my wrist. So when I came back to the skate park after that healing up, my buddy Jason Beckham pulls me aside and he goes, all right, today we're learning how to crash. So we went around the whole skate park for hours. And he's like, do a fufanu on that. I'm like, I don't know how to do fufanus. He's like, I know. We're learning how to crash. So he made me, I crashed for hours. So I finally learned how to, like, crash properly and get away from it is more or less what I was learning.
Read the environment, see where you can, like,
yeah.
Just instant readings with everything, yeah.
So, like, I've had a lot of crashes where I was almost more happy about how I crashed than pulling the trick, because when you pull the trick, that's what you meant to do. Like, yeah, I did it. That's what I meant to do. That's what I've been, obviously, that's what I was trying. But the crashes that I'm always more proud of, like, you're hopping, like, oh, I fucked up. All right. Tap your pegs on that, and then explode once you hit the ground over to there, and then you can roll and get out of it. And there's one of my favorite crashes in the my FBM Don't Buy This part. There's one of the beginning ones where I was trying to gap to kinked rail or whatever at Cornell. And I first hopped, I'm like, this is going super poorly. And I came off, I'm like, all right, I'm going to nose dive because that's what the nose was doing. And I'm like, but when I land, I'm going to just land and twist the bars in, roll onto my back, and just slide onto my back and walk right out of it. And that's exactly what I did. And I was so fucking happy about it. I'm like, dude, I crashed perfectly like I wanted to. In the midst of crashing. I'm like, all right, assess it, get the fuck out of there. And it worked out. Mm-hmm. So, like, I was always more proud of some of my crashes or bails. I went to grind this one long, remember that long white rail at BU?
Yeah.
In the back? It had the bump in front of it. Never fucked with me, and then one day I really noticed it, so it always fucked with me. Well, I went up, feeble bonked to crooked grind, and then I just jumped over my bars and landed on the rail with my feet and took 7 full running steps down it and then jumped off. I don't know if it was 7. It might have been 5 or 6 or 2. Mm-hmm. But if I
you
jumped
ran the
over,
length of the rail,
ran down the rail and then jumped off and was like, that was the best bail I think I could have ever possibly had. And it was just like totally, contributed that to Jason Beckham making me crash for a few hours at the skate park.
At the same time, he's probably like, yeah, this is hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he was getting a kick out of it, just watching me roll and tumble and just not know how to even come close to doing a foo-fa-noo, but trying them on subs with the full intention of watching me crash. I'm sure he was over there just busting and laughing super hard.
Before that, they're like at the park going, hey, next time John comes, we're gonna tell him we're teaching him how to crash. But we're just gonna send him that stuff.
Watch. Yeah, it helped drastically through because I never really had a lot of big injuries. I broke my foot with an omen that I called out. Like I said, it was right when softer shoes were kind of becoming super popular, and I've never hate them. Oh, me too. But I was like, all right, I'm not going to just go against it because it's trendy. There might be some functionality behind it. I'll try a pair. My biggest fear was, because I bail and crash a lot, landing with my foot down and landing on top of my foot and breaking my foot. And I also said I'll never 360 a set of trails because I suck at riding trails, and I'm not great at threes, especially at that time. First week I had soft-soled shoes. I tried to 3 a set of trails right after we had changed up the jumps that we had. Landed completely flat on top of my foot, exactly as I called out, broke my foot, and that was probably the worst injury I've ever had. And because I was so poor, we had the free healthcare, whatever, through Lourdes Hospital.
Okay.
Awful. They didn't set my bone, so I just have this big V in my foot that I can't wear dress shoes without them hurting after a half hour.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they don't have any move, like I can't wear leather shoes, I guess, because there's no give. It hurts like hell, and I'm just like, cool, free healthcare. I like it. You guys did a great job of just putting a Band-Aid on a broken foot.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, man. You guys put a cast on. You could have said, hey, this is going to hurt. This is why we give you drugs. Not just so that you can, have opiates. We're going to push this back. It's going to fucking hurt. Here's some drugs. That's really what it's for, and not just like, hey, you might have some pain. Here, take these. But they didn't set it. It did hurt. I mean, it did break my fucking foot, and they were touching. Like when I broke my collarbone, the doctor lied to me. He said I broke it like this, but I broke it this way. So when they put the sling on, it just went like that. Never ever hurt. Like it never hurt because the bones never were touching to go back together. So it just bridged a gap. And when the swelling went down, I felt it. This was fairly recently. Dylan was working with me at FBM, and I was like, oh my God, I could feel the divot to how it broke. It's like, fuck, they just got me in a sling. No wonder why it's taken forever. So I had Dylan right at that moment at work just come over with an ace bandage and just crank it down to start pulling my collarbone back. And when I went to the doctors, for a checkup, I'm like, what the fuck was that shit, man? That's not how my bone broke.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you should design that then, because I made my own chest strap.
So they
pull back on the bone.
They make what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But when I broke my collarbone, they did the same thing. They slinged it up, and it was like, what is this doing? Like, you didn't do surgery, so everything's compressing anyway. And they're like, well, there's this other brace style, but it's considered obsolete technology, and like it's not covered by insurance and stuff. Huh. If you want one, we can order you one in, but it's going to cost you cost.
Right.
And they explained what it is, and they called it a butterfly brace.
Yes.
So it straps on the front, and it cinches in the back, and it pulls your shoulders back.
As you should be.
And it takes every bit of pain out of it.
Yeah.
And you can sit there and you can work.
Yeah.
Because, like, sitting at an office desk every day, you're in.
Yeah.
This was like, it held you out.
Mm-hmm.
but I couldn't work on a keyboard.
Oh.
Fun fact for you, if you plug 2 keyboards into a computer,
You can use each half?
you can use each half.
Nice.
And shift is a function for the computer, not a function of the keyboard. So if I hold shift on the left keyboard, it capitalizes my buttons on the right keyboard. So yeah, I went down to the IT department. I'm like, weird question. I need a second keyboard. Do you have one? And they're like, why do you need a second keyboard? And I'm like, just let me take it and set it up, and you can come up in like an hour and see.
Yeah. That's awesome. I broke my collarbone right as we were making the re-up batches of AODs. So we actually called in, I think we did 50. Our old welder, Paul, who was working there before I got there. And he did a handful of them for a weekend. And then I was like, he's, in a weekend, he couldn't weld 50 bikes.
Mm-hmm.
I think he got around 10 done, maybe. So I still had 40, and I was like, it doesn't hurt me. There's no reason I shouldn't be welding. So I just, after I had it cinched back, I just would prop my elbow up on the table and could go about working fine.
Mm-hmm.
It was, no problem. So I was like,
that's good.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically like an office. Like, I'm just sitting at a desk welding frames. I mean, I don't have a keyboard, but I have a torch and a rod. And I'm staring at a shiny light. It's very similar. I mean, I'm leaning over maybe a little bit more.
Yeah.
So you're kind of sitting up. But, yeah, I was like, there's no reason I can't just work. We didn't even need to call him in. But we did. He got some money, so that was cool.
Yeah, that's
probably.
Good. Maybe.
Maybe. But it was, I just kept working until... And it's just a collarbone. You just got to wait. You can't do anything about it. There's no cast. Like, when I had my foot, I was like, all right, it's close enough. I just cut my cast off at work and then was able to walk around again.
Yeah.
Without a weird gimp. But, yeah.
Speaking of learning to crash, and kind of a sidebar, but I feel like that's why Striders are so good. Too.
Yeah.
Like, the kid learns to crash at all the speeds that they learn to ride at.
Cool.
And, they learn to balance, but they also learn to crash. Whereas, like, on a training wheel bike, kids aren't learning to crash.
No, you don't learn to put your feet down. Fiona hasn't, my daughter's 2.5. She just got tall enough to kind of stand on the balance bike that I made her, which I made her a balance bike. Because I made it like a BMX style, so she needed to be a little bit taller. But she wasn't really tall enough to utilize it without I could take the seat off so she could only stand there. Until it got too cold to be outside. So she'll walk it around inside, but I mean, there's no speed involved. It's just her walking from one room to another carrying a bicycle between her legs.
We had the rocking base for Ryder.
The rocking base.
So it's just a curved base with 2 clamps that go over the axles on the wheels.
Oh. Huh.
So he could use it like a hobby horse. So he goes on that thing before he ever could walk.
Oh, shit. I didn't know they made that. That's awesome. That's a really good idea. Fiona loves rocking horses, too. She goes nuts on them. We'll go to the daycare, and they have one there, and she'll go, Daddy, wow. She'll run over and get on it. She's like, almost just doing front flips on it. I'm like, cool.
Yeah, that's what Ryder would get that thing going enough that it would eject him. Like, he would go so fast on it that it would blow his hands off the grips.
That's awesome. As long as it's not,
I mean, it's pretty hilarious.
Right. It's got to be. Otherwise, it sucks.
I mean, little kids falling is always funny.
Right.
So
they're not good at it.
No.
They're awful at it. Fee's really getting her hands out now to where I'm like, cool. You're getting better at that falling thing. Because every time she runs, you're like, 10 more feet? 15 more? When is she falling? It's not if. It's when is she going to fall? If she doesn't slow down. Like, if she'll slow down, then she's not going to fall.
Yeah. Well, that's for that reason we have Ryder in a full face helmet all the time, too.
Probably a good idea.
I mean, we know. They don't put their hands down.
Right. And, like, we bought Fiona a helmet off of online. because we don't really have, just because it was easier, really. Most.
You don't have a legit bike shop. It's okay.
Right. And it fits like shit. Her helmet barely stays on her head. It just kind of sits on top, and I'm like, it's a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it needs to fit their fucking head. It's just awful. So we got to get her a new one. Big fault. Just gonna have to drive somewhere and where she can try it on.
We're lucky to have a couple of good shops around here.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Particularly the one, like, we go down to it. It's in Greensburg. It's called Flat Tire Co. But they're like 45, 50 minutes from me.
Mm-hmm.
But if I need something for, like, Ryder or myself, that's my shop I'm going to.
Mm-hmm. It's so crazy to hear numbers like that in a city, because I'm living in Ithaca now, where 45, 50 minutes is like 3 or 4 towns over. Whereas when we were driving home from the comedy show last night, we put on the GPS. I'm like, oh, that's right. Same town, 45-minute drive.
Yeah.
I forgot about how big cities can be.
Yeah, like the extents of it.
Yes. Like there's, all the way up till you start hitting rural country on both sides could be a 3-hour fucking drive.
Well, but it all, like, everything necks into the city and then back out, too.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you might only be, like, here to here, but you got to go this way to get there. Or you're taking all these little back roads and it's stop sign, stop sign, stop sign, stop sign.
To wiggle around the river.
And you're like, I'll just take the highway.
Yeah. Which is a massive, confusing mess here. Holy shit. Like, it's sort of parallel to Boston streets. Like, it's just a crazy maze that's almost impossible to navigate unless you live there. And, like, when we would go to Boston, I mean, that's a horse and buggy town. So when we would listen to the GPS, it would say, take a right. And we're like, there are 7 rights. Mm-hmm. What fucking right do you want me to take?
Yeah. Hard right, right, soft right, straight right.
Yeah. And it's like, wow, let's just get rid of this bitch talking to us and
just look at the map.
And look at the map. It's going to be way, way easier. I need a navigator. I can't just have the computer navigating for me.
My phone works pretty well, but my first trip down here, I used a stock GPS that you just throw up in your window, and the buildings downtown would make it so you couldn't figure out where you were.
Oh, right.
And even though it records, like, elevation, sea level elevation, it wouldn't recognize which road you were on. And it's like, well, pretty clearly between elevation here and here, it's this road, right? Like, if I'm traveling this direction and I'm in this elevation range, I'm not on that one.
Right. That was last night going to the comedy show. Mike's like, how the fuck do I get to that road above us? We're just driving in circles. Like, where is the entrance to it? And when we finally, Leland turned on it, because Mike also, my brother hates using the GPSs, because he's had one for the longest time, and it always is fucked. Like, it always has sent him into crazy directions. Like, lots of times they go, oh, you're at your destination. We're looking for a restaurant. We're like, we are literally in a neighborhood right now. That's a house to my right, not a Chipotle. Like, I am not getting oil out of that place. I mean, maybe they have some, but it's not going to be enough to run his car off of.
Yeah.
That was when he had his veg car. We would always look for Chipotles because it was the best, cleanest fuel. And you could see the bottom of most places. But yeah, last night going to the comedy show, we're just like, and then when it would actually say to get on, like, the GPS, Leland finally got it out, and it was sending us like 6 blocks out and around to get to it, and we're,
well, I mean, that's what you end up having to do to, like, get up there.
Yeah, exactly. You had to climb half the hill to get up to the hill to come down to the road that was right above your head. And we're like, that's a setup.
This place is really confusing.
Yeah.
And then you probably didn't even hit any of the real bad spots in the highway. There's a bunch of sections where you'll have to get over like 3 or 4 lanes
instantly
in 300 feet.
Yeah. We didn't hit anything.
And on a
like
busy
that.
day, it's comical.
Yeah. You just start laughing. Like, I'm either laughing or I'm trying to rip my steering wheel off the column.
You're like, at least I know where I'm going.
Mm.
Like, I know which lane I need to come around this corner in so that I've got the easiest merge.
Right.
Or, like, randoms, people are just passing through. They don't have a clue where they need to be.
We were going on one road that was like a road above it the whole way. And, it's low bridges, and they need semis. So the road signs didn't hang down at all. So you had to like, wait. Oh, no. Was that the red exit? Did it say 10D, that one? Like, man, you got to know. Like, you got to be here to know. Like, when you're a tourist in this town, I'm finding out, like, navigating is, you almost just want to Uber. Like, hey, you drive me around because fuck this.
Yeah.
Like,
it gets wild.
This is going to take me triple the time, and I'm going to sort of be mildly irritated when I get to where I'm going.
It's also interesting, like, you'll lose service through some of the tunnels.
Okay. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of tunnels around
too.
Huh?
You're going through a tunnel, and the last time it told you anything was to continue straight.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there'll be, like, an exit or an interchange as soon as you come out of the tunnel. And by the time your service reconnects, it's like,
do a U-turn.
Turn right in 20 feet, and you're like in the left lane with cars on your right. You're like, great.
You come out instantly hearing, recalculating. Like, wait, what? We're not just picking up where we left off?
You're like, oh, we were, but...
Yeah. I have the U-turn. It should have said, after the bridge, or after the tunnel, instantly go right, and then we'll talk again.
It's wild.
Mm-hmm.
Driving here is crazy.
But it'd be nice to know. Like, Louisville, I lived there for like 6 months. It was wild navigating because I was trying to learn my easts and wests of roads, but they have a lot of mountains there to where I'll be heading east on one road, and then all of a sudden I'm heading south. So when I go to make the next turn, I turn in the wrong direction because I changed complete directions from the road. I was like, all right. It took a minute to figure those roads out because I like to try to do stuff without maps, so that way when you are kind of living in a town, so that way you learn the roads and how to navigate said town.
So the Pittsburgh town thing is also why we were the pioneer city for their driverless cars for Uber.
Oh, okay. There's driverless Uber cars?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
So they're manned. Currently,
okay.
Like there's someone that sits at the wheel.
Yeah.
And if something happens, they just manually take it over.
Right. I know Tesla did his update where I think you have to touch the wheel every 3 seconds or something
like that.
To let you know that you're not sleeping because somebody tried to sue him. I believe I heard somebody tried to sue him because he ran into the back of a semi while he was sleeping. And he was like, I told you guys you can't fucking go to sleep. Like,
this
is first generation of this programming. You don't want to be the first guy to get, hair transplants or be the first person to get the new teeth. You want to wait a little bit.
Yeah.
LASIK. You don't want to be the first guy. You want to be like, they've been doing it for 10 years. I can trust this.
They figured that if they could do that in Pittsburgh, though, they could do it anywhere.
Yeah, that's probably a good assumption.
Between, like I said, tunnels, bridges, multi-layer roads like you're talking about.
Yeah.
If you can do it here,
you're good to go.
Yeah.
And the shoulderlessnesses, too. Like, I know that was one thing we were noticing yesterday driving home. Like, Mike's like, I don't know if I'm driving in the shoulder or not. Because it looks like I'm not. Yeah, there's no shoulder markings on a lot of the roads. Which, I mean, when you have this many fucking roads... Yeah, they're going to wear off and not get fixed for a while.
There's some that when Tom was following me home, I'm like, I hope Tom takes this road because the highway is going up and the highway turns left, but the exit goes straight and it's not like clearly marked.
Yeah.
So if you're just like kind of paying attention to the right line, you're going to take an exit you didn't mean to take.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, the road kind of turns away.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't even see that the lanes turn left. You see the exit in front of you and the road continue.
Yeah, all of a sudden you're like, wait. It said I was 45 minutes on a highway to get there. Why am I in the residential neighborhood all of a sudden?
But he followed me, so we were good.
Yeah, he was paying attention. Probably a good thing to do when you drive, too.
I'm usually pretty on top of it.
It's easier when you're following, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Depending on who you're following.
Yeah, I like this kind. Man, having the wheel mill around is just be awesome.
I say this a lot, but they get so much hype on this podcast that they ought to be paying for a spot.
You guys got to at least send me a thank you membership once in a while.
Well, yeah, me and my 50 listeners.
Yeah, right.
And it's the 50 listeners are all my friends.
Yeah, that live in mostly other town now.
Is here.
Yeah. Already going to the wheel mill.
Yeah. But
I gotta piss. I'll be right back.
Oh yeah.
Drank so
we'll
much
take a quick
coffee at the
break.
diner. I did that with chicken wings. Dave used to do these pain challenges when we lived at the house on Ely Street, where he just liked to see people in misery, so he would pay for it. And my brother did a milkshake challenge, where Dave made him eat whatever ice cream he wanted, he'd buy it. But he had to eat all of the ice cream in a milkshake, and he's like, mint chocolate chip. Fuck yeah, stoked on mint chocolate chip.
That's
and eat
what
a
you
whole
think.
pint. Yeah, that's what you
whole
think
pint.
until you get to the end, and you're like, all right, I'm finally done. And there's just a bowl full of chocolate chips, and you're like, oh, fuck, I gotta eat those too,
I gotta
man.
eat those too.
And so he had to do that, and he was just laying there in like misery while he's just slowly going, fuck chocolate. Dave had me do a chicken wing eating challenge, and it was 50 wings. I was not able to accomplish it. I literally reached a max to where I couldn't ingest any more food at 45, I think. And in the beginning, they were hot wings. They're like, you gotta put on your war paint. I'm like, all right, war paint. Just wiping hot sauce right on my face. And then I'm like,
That was
God damn it.
terrible idea.
Terrible idea. Halfway through, I was in the restroom, like hitting my stuff, trying to make room because I knew I wasn't gonna make it. He was nice enough not to make me pay for the wings, and he also took it was Chunk's birthday, so he had like $100 chicken wing bill that night. And but the next day we went on a road trip to I think the Incline Club, and we took my Jeep. I was driving. And my buddy was, Kyle Hibbard was in the next seat. And we decided to just randomly go to the city, and he was fucking freaking out. He was like, I think 17, maybe 18. But he's calling his mom, we're going. It was hilarious. He was like panicking. I'm like, we're just going to drive through the city and then go home because we're close. But, it's only going to be an extra, well, it's the city. So a lot longer than we said. But,
Yeah.
But on the car ride, I had just done the chicken wings the night before, so I kept farting, and it smelled like straight wings. I was like, oh man, I could really go for some wings now. Like, I really want some fucking chicken wings right now. We didn't get any. Everybody else found it gross, but then we went home and it was...
I can't imagine why.
Yeah, why did they find it?
Like, why don't you like my chicken wing farts? I don't understand.
Yeah,
I
right.
don't understand.
And then I think the last challenge that Dave did was our buddy Sam, who lived with us. He did it was right when KFC came out with Snackers, just like a chicken tender sandwich. And he had to do 20. And he was going to finish it. But he was on the 19th one, just sitting there like, oh my God, in sheer misery. And one of Dave's dogs just came up and snatched it out of his hand and ran away. He was like, pleasantly bummed, like, all right, I don't have to finish it, but it's not my fault. So I still got to not fully complete the challenge, but not have to pay for it, because at least it was Dave's dogs too.
Yeah.
That came in and swiped it from his hand. But man, Dave got a massive kick out of just watching us be completely miserable because he jammed our stomachs full of fucking garbage ass food.
We were down here actually with Derek and his brother Andy,
Mm-hmm.
and Matt came down, my brother. And
He skates, right?
yeah, and maybe Tom, and they were doing the dumpling challenge.
Dumpling challenge.
So it was how many I forget if the number was 20 or 30.
Mm-hmm. But whatever it was,
But
it was
a lot of dumplings.
Yeah.
And they're like, you gotta eat 20 dumplings, and if you do, we'll pay for your buffet.
Mm-hmm.
So Matt goes up to the buffet line, and instead of going up and like getting 5 and then going up and getting 5 more, he goes up and he scoops 20 dumplings onto his plate. And the guy behind him in line is furious because he just took all the dumplings.
He pretty much just comes up, takes the tray out, and takes it back to the
because he took all the like fried ones, and then he had to take the steamed ones too because they were out.
Right out of the fried.
So he took all those, and then he moves to the next one, is taking more.
He comes back to the table. The guy's like,
So
asshole, other people got to eat that too.
So he does it, and then like he finishes it, and he's like, I am so miserable. And they go, you want to go double or nothing? They're like, go get 5 more. And he went up and he got like 7 more, and I think he ended up eating 27. I'm pretty sure it was what the number was. But they were like good-sized dumplings.
Just sheer misery. Oh man.
So then the bill comes, and it's like each person was like a $30 buffet.
Oh, man.
And they're like, I'll still pay for yours, but that double or nothing is kind of out the window. We didn't realize it was going to be like this much money. And he's like, oh, it's okay. It is what it is.
I was already miserable. Now I'm just a little bit more so.
I mean, it still didn't cost him anything other than a night of happiness.
Right.
And then wake up. Yes, but when we were leaving the buffet, Andy decides to just chase him down and tickle him.
Oh,
So he's just like bolts out of the place because Andy's chasing him to tickle him. Matt jumps over a guardrail and like rolls down a grass hill.
Oh no.
And then gets pinned down and tickled quickly.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, it was so bad. Anyway, the next morning we wake up and we go to this breakfast place down in the Strip District called DeLuca's, and they do like Sunday breakfast. So you get giant pancakes with ice cream sundae all on top of it.
Oh.
Matt orders a giant one of those, and it's like, didn't you just finish 27 dumplings last night? What are you doing?
You can still consume food. Oh, man.
And Matt's not big. He's a tiny dude.
Yeah, he's a little guy. And
So,
from what I remember, I'm
yeah.
like, well, maybe he plumped up for this.
No, not really. This was like peak skinniness.
Yeah.
Just really funny.
Right. My brother on our FBM trip, my brother had there's this restaurant in Richmond. They had a burger that was a 1 pound of meat. Each bun was a grilled cheese sandwich, and then there was like a whole salad in the middle. And my brother had to eat that for money and go then do a handrail across the street. Well, he ended up he did the handrail. He ice picked it because it was way easier. You could go faster and hop less. But Joel and I were real broke that trip, so Barnett, and we were sitting there like not eating anything. Like, am I gonna eat those fries? And then the people next to us left, and they left a bunch of food on the table. So Joel and I just looked at each other and were like, slid over and just started finishing their leftovers. It was disgustingly awesome. And not really. I mean, they didn't look like dirty people, so we're like,
Yeah, I mean, if you just tap into fries, like fries are pretty much.
yeah.
You don't eat the half-eaten ones, but the other ones are probably pretty good.
Yeah, you cut their bites off the burgers unless you're really hungry. No, it was mostly just like the fries and shit. Like, the burger was good. Fuck the fries. I'm not eating the fucking fries. Well, we'll eat the fucking fries with my water.
At places like a Red Robin, you're like, hey man, can you get like spare fries and get another loaf?
Yeah.
I'm gonna swipe them from you when you're done, but
Yeah, the busboy comes. Hey, let's put those fries onto this plate over here. We're good. You gotta just throw it out. We don't waste food. Where I come from, we don't waste food. I was eating before I moved to Cali when I was I quit FBM the first time. Well,
the only time you quit.
Yeah, the only time I quit working there. 2010, I believe, almost 6 years to the month of from when I started. But at the end of it, I was like banking as much money as I could. So I was eating super minimal, eating better than I really ever had, because I would just buy a stick of broccoli and eat that, or just have a bag of carrots and eat that. But my roommate's girlfriend was like semi-dumbfounded that I was barely ever eating much. And she knew I would never, like, I don't like wasting food. So she would overbuy her food, and then she'd go, do you want some? I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm plenty sufficient. We're just sitting there hanging out in my house watching TV. Or, I might be playing a fucking video game or something. And she's like, all right, fine. But what she purposefully did would be like, I'm throwing this away. And she's like, I know you're going to eat it. I'm like, well, yeah, you don't throw food away.
Especially not when you're poor. You're like...
It wasn't even that I was
you're
poor. I was just not
money,
spending. But yeah, especially like when I'm not spending, like, well, I mean, yeah, I'll eat. But she would do it on purpose. I know she did, because she was a little girl and she'd buy foot-long subs. And she barely ever ate 6 inches. So she would do it on fucking purpose, which I appreciated. But also, that's why, because I used to hate mustard. I hated olives. And then I'm like, for one, I'm like, why would I hate food? It's awesome. Like, fuck disliking foods. So I started loving mustard and loving olives, because that's what she got. So she would give it to me, yeah, I'll start liking it. And then I just decided I'm going to start enjoying mustard and liking olives. I'm like, it'll be easier than not liking it.
Like, if you just... I guess maybe if you own it on the front end, like, this isn't going to be bad.
Yeah, it's just food.
If you already hate it before you ever bite in, you can't enjoy it.
Right. So I decided, I was like, you know what? I think liking food is a conscious decision. And then I was right. You can decide to like it, and then now you like it. Like, I like olives now. I hated them because of this, like, the weird saltiness, and now I'm like, yeah, they're fucking great. It's just an olive. That's what it is.
It's just a weird saltiness, but like if you can appreciate it, yeah.
Yeah. It's way easier to like eating it than it is to, that tastes yucky.
Not for me. I play the that tastes yucky game. But I have reasons.
Yeah.
I grew up with such food allergies that like expanding my horizons was not feasible most of the time.
A great idea sometimes.
Yeah, it was a better option to exist in your bubble and know what you can and can't have,
right,
than to gamble.
Yeah, I mean, especially with allergies, like I don't have any, so it was like, why am I being salty about eating an olive or putting mustard on my hamburger?
Yeah.
I was called the way I hang out with myself. I'm like, yeah, fuck off, asshole, just eat it.
Mm-hmm.
The spicy brown's good. The yellow, not as. Just eat the spicy brown. Like, unless the yellow's free, then you know, like, here's throwing this away. I'll eat the yellow. It's just, lamer. I want the stone ground spicy brown mustard, man.
The high class mustard.
The high class. High-ish. I still buy the cheap stuff because, well, I still do work in the bike industry. By choice.
Yeah. Well, especially now.
Yeah, especially right now, as I'm not actually producing products yet, which will be coming soon. What I'm here for?
Not
only,
I mean, kind of. For whatever it's worth, may as well use it.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why I made the trip while my wife's 3 weeks away from having another kid. her idea, not mine. I didn't say I'm leaving. I'm like, I need to do this. And she's like, well, let's go. I'm like, it's close. She's like, yeah, but I mean, I'm fine. And it's not due for 3 weeks. And you're only 6 hours away. It's not like you flew across the country.
You could hop in the car at any moment.
Right.
This is about the max that's a feasible thing for.
5 to 6 is the max because it's going to take her probably an hour to get, unless it's a massive emergency to where shit's fucked anyways. Especially for a second baby, chances of her birthing it within 5 to 6 hours is pretty slim. I mean, it takes time. I think she was in labor 20 hours the first time for our first kid. And I mean, that's 20 hours all day.
Yeah.
I could go for some chicken wings right now.
You know, me too.
But
can always go for some chicken wings.
Yeah, so I'm into all over the place, but starting my own thing called, I'm doing it, the LLC is JC Metalworks. I'm going to do just fabrication out of my garage based around frame building because that's what I enjoy doing the most. And I have an order for a batch of custom frames for a crew, which is something that I really want to do. I'm going to call them like probably crew customs. It's going to be basically for those who know what they want and their group of friends can get together and get a custom bike made at a lower than custom frame price because you're buying me a batch from me. A small batch. There'll be price brackets where you'll get above, like, I don't know the exact numbers of it yet. I have it mostly mapped out, but I just want to finalize it before I release my, the numbers of it. But there'll be price drops for every 5 to 10 or whatever it be, where you save more money.
But, I mean, from what we've discussed, without putting a specific number on it, you're looking at being right around what, like, a conventional frame cost is, right? Like,
yeah.
You're not...
Essentially.
You're not going to be in like the excess custom market that you see in certain people.
Right. It'll bring it down. Like you buy a regular custom, a single, it's going to cost the price of a custom bike because the amount of work that you have to put into it. But when you make a batch, it drops. Like it's almost as easy to make 2 as it is to make 1. And it's almost as easy to make 10 as it is to make 1 to a point. I mean, the welding part is the only part at that point that really takes more time. Like cutting one seat tube to 10 seat tubes is like maybe 5 to 10 minutes. It's not long. I mean, you still got to set up and deburr. It does, add up a little bit, but nothing like one off every time. And I do my own powder coating at the moment, at least small number stuff. So I'm going to be able to, for the crew customs, you're going to be able to get your own colors. I do my own die cut stickers. I bought one of the Craft Mom machines for my computer that does die cut stickers wonderfully, and those have always been my favorite stickers. I like the cleanliness. I hate the clear background score. I don't hate them, but I like them more than the big clear black background sticker sheets. I think even when I do get, more colored, because I can only do silhouettes with die cut.
Yeah.
More colors. I still even want to put, if I don't get them die cut there, I'm still going to put them in my machine and die cut around them, so that way it gets rid of the squareness, because it's just, to me, the cleanliness of it.
Yeah.
But my wife bought a screen printing press, so I want it to be like the crew customs. You can go different levels of, we're just going to get frames, or we're going to get, which frames will be at the very least painted with a handful of my stickers. Whether you want to give your frame a name or not is on you, but then you can do t-shirts as well. I want to try to have it more expansive than just simple. Like if you want to get complicated, let's get complicated. And it won't really cost that much more because I'm doing it all at my house. I'm setting the whole setup's in my house that way. The way my life is, that's really the only way I can do it and still be able to do things with it, as opposed to having the overheads and driving to work because I watch Fiona all day long, and then when my wife gets home, we hang out for a little bit, and then I go outside and get to work.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to bed at like 2 and waking up at 7 on average.
Mm-hmm. And you're working from like 8 to 2.
Yeah, I'm working from, usually when Carrie gets home, she gets home about 4:30, and then we'll hang out for 15, 20 minutes, and then I'll go out to start working around 5.
Okay.
I take longer dinners now, and I'll go in, and every now and then I'll hang out and play with Fiona and do family stuff. But then I keep coming back out. I usually get about 8 hours. I mean, without having to drive to work, it gives me a whole hour of either playtime or extra sleep, which is I have to do periodically. Otherwise, I feel crazy and have headaches. But that's temporary. But so I want to do the crew customs on different levels. I have the price breakdowns to where a batch of about 10 will cost us right around a normal frames price. So you get 10 friends together, you're pretty much just building your own signature frame. And obviously 10 people isn't going to ride the exact same frame. Maybe. But so each major geometry change will be I think I'm going to do $25 per massive geo change. Top tubes, whatever you want. I mean, if you want to do a 30-second to be stupid or not stupid, because that's what I do. To be fun and ridiculous, we'll do 30-second inch increments. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
It's just as simple as doing 21. It's just measuring. But to do like if all your friends run long back ends, but one of the guys likes a shorter back end, his bike's just going to be $25 more, and he gets it personalized.
Yep.
Which is what I also want to do with the frames that I stock. I'm going to do during pre-order. You can customize the shit out of your bike. If you like this geometry of, my Tempest frame, which is the frame that I ride, so obviously that was the first one I made. It's just like an all-round frame with a short-ish back end. But if you don't like that back end that short and you want an all-round frame with a little bit longer back end, you can just modify it or if I make a new frame that you do like just all the geo. Like it's definitely, I want to do it for those who know what they want, but you don't have to do a full custom if there's one that's close. I have the abilities to just make one quick change. It takes a lot more work, but, pay a little bit more and we'll do it. Because I can make, if you do just the back end, I can at least process the front end with the rest of the frames. And then at the end, after I tack up my batch, I'll stretch your back end out, make your back end, and then put yours together and weld them with the batch. So it's not a really difficult thing to do. It's definitely extra work, which is why you got to pay a little bit more for it. But it's super simple for me to do, to just customize stuff. Because, that's, to me, I've always experimented with geometry, try to find what I like, what suits me best. And I feel like a lot of people would like to do the same if they could, especially on an affordable level.
Mm-hmm.
Like to just experiment at custom frame pricing is difficult, to where you can start modifying frames to fit what you want to do, and then when you know what you want, then go in all in on a custom, so you know exactly what you want is what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And you don't have to go, oh, that was close, but shit, that was an expensive.
Something feels like crap.
Yeah, something's not exactly right. I'm still happy I did it, but I'm going to have to get a new one sooner than I would have.
Yeah. And that, I know that I told you what I wanted for mine, and I can say, like, I've changed quite a bit off the bike that I'm riding.
Yeah.
To do that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's things like standover, where I don't really do a lot where I need to pinch my seat.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind it being out of the way a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I lowered that, I think, by 3/4 of an inch.
Mm-hmm.
My axle hangs out of my dropouts right now.
So we lengthen the back end up.
Yeah, and I think I only moved it 1/4 of an inch, or maybe even only an 1/8 inch. But like, it's not out,
mm-hmm.
but it's like if I can move that out, then my axle can be in the dropout, and that'd be cool.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And, you know, because like I could do it if I wanted to break my chain every time, or run a half link. I don't want to run a half link.
Right.
Yeah. I also don't want to break my chain every time I need to take it off.
Yeah,
it's real annoying
now because of that. Because I run my wheel so slammed that it's either grind or break or just I just do the master link. I don't break them. But
yeah, I've never liked the super short back end. I like it short, but
what do you ride?
You know, I already forget what it is. I forget what I told you.
Yeah, I have it. Well, saved somewhere.
Yeah,
but I'll double check still. We'll go through and we'll before I actually process it. We'll make sure that we are on this right page.
Yeah, right now I'm on a Fiend Reynolds V2, so whatever that is, that's what I'm on.
Gotcha. Cool.
But it's like 75.5 head tube, which I was always nervous about.
I ran when I liked it. I don't now. I did.
I was nervous about it because of all the tight stuff that I ride.
Okay.
I was like, I don't need that extra reaction. Like, it might really screw me over.
Uh-huh.
But what I noticed is it makes it easier to hold yourself straight.
Yeah.
You're in control of it more than, like, it controlling you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I was like, that's kind of cool. Like, every time you dive into something with an older, sluggish head tube, it's doing whatever the ground tells it to do.
Yeah, you're at the like that. Those bikes you could pedal hands free for a long time, and just go over bumps, potholes. Just with when you start going steeper, like you can do it, but pay attention. Like that's when I first went to the 75.5. I went to cranks and I did my lines in the bowl that I did, and I went around one of the corners and it was like, whoa, wake up, motherfucker! Like, your steering is reactive now, and it was only a half degree.
Yeah.
Actually, the last bike I built, 2 bikes ago that I built, I did a 76. That was the one that I had, the green one that I rode the spine with all last winter. I really liked that. I did. I really liked it, but I was also just being coping dancing on a spine.
Yeah, and I can see like that slower speed stuff it's really awesome for, but
yeah,
like when we were talking to Mark yesterday and he's like, I still like my 74.
Yeah.
Like when you're hitting those big fast jumps,
you want control in your bike. You don't want to be 100% in having to be, like you
don't have to stiff arm it to stay straight.
Right. You want to be loose and enjoying the ride as opposed to sort of pucker butted and, shit in your pants.
So, yeah, I mean, that's cool doing it with, like, crew customs.
Yeah. And that was, that's the first thing I'm doing is some friends out in Albany, Neb, they call themselves the Neb Northeast Bad Boys. And it's actually the second batch of frames I've done for them. I was trying to do, when I was with FBM, kind of a money maker to sort of help build the shop, start building the shop up a little bit more. I made a batch of frames, but then my car broke down, so I had to fix my car so I could drive a car, have a car to drive.
Cars are cool.
You kind of need one when you live 30 minutes away from work. Right now my car's broken, but I go out in the backyard, so... I mean, it sucks during the day. I don't get to go places with my daughter, but soon.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Once I start making things and having money coming back in, having money come in. Let me put it that way. Having money come in, I will, be able to fix it. Just some bearings and tie rod ends, and a Cadillac converter, which is the big one.
Yeah.
Because New York State has bunch of ridiculously stupid laws on that. It's just money laws.
Yeah.
They love money. And I don't like that. But anyways.
Yeah, it seems like no one has a lot of good things to say about New York State. It's weird.
See, I think it would be great if we just donated the city to Jersey. Like, here guys, here's a gift. And then like everything would be a lot better. We'd be a rural state.
Yeah, in New Jersey would be a nightmare. Oh wait,
It's
it already
a
is.
nightmare. So fucking, I'm just joking.
More of a nightmare.
I'm just joking. Did you guys ever see that South
I'm
Park
not.
episode about
Not joking.
the South Park episode about Jersey? Oh my God, Jersey takes over the whole country.
Oh,
And it's
maybe I think I might have.
They obviously it's South Park, so they make it ridiculous about how awful Jersey is. I don't really think.
I think it
I've
was because
enjoyed
it was
going
based
to
around like the Jersey Shore stuff,
yes,
right?
it was.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, they
Yeah,
had
everyone-
Snooki come
everyone
in and
was
she was like this
Greedo.
fucking mouse monster
I
creature.
do
thing.
remember
what
that.
What the fuck is a Snooki?
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's forget. But yeah, doing the neb frames, they're doing 10 this time, and they're doing it the way that I kind of. It makes me more excited to do it this way, which is why I want to have the price breakdown. So they really only need 9, but they're going to buy a 10th, so then they can sell one. You know, here.
Mhm.
It's a little bit extra for you guys to all split one more frame. 9 guys splitting the cost of one frame is pretty much nothing, but then you can sell it.
Or
And
if
now
they,
you have
if they
a
had a
road trip.
jam or something, they
Yes.
could even give it away. Do something cool.
Yes. Or somebody has an extra, they have an extra one for if somebody, does need a new one of their buddies, they go, here, we got one,
Mhm.
But also, I mean, you gotta, if you're a crew that has, a small following around your city, buy 5 extra.
Yeah.
And sell them, and now you guys got a small road trip fund.
Or a small company too. Like there's
Yeah.
a bunch of companies, even let's just say GrindWorks included. Like, oh, you guys should make frames. I'd love to have a GrindWorks frame, and you're like, dude, I can't invest in that. But if all of a sudden it can be affordable to
Yeah.
test the waters.
Yeah, that's what I'm real into doing. That's what because I just like making frames, man, and I make a good frame, so I want people to ride it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a fuck who puts stickers on what. Take my stickers off. Order it without them. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. It just makes me happy to see people riding a good. And
Yeah.
most frames are good nowadays. So, but I know I like the way I build my frames, and I build them thoughtfully, the way I do for a reason, because of the. How old am I? I've been making frames for over almost
Almost 20 years.
17 years, almost 18. Yeah, I think I've made my first frame. I was 17, definitely. I can't remember if it was close to my birthday or far away from my birthday, really. So,
Mm-hmm.
don't really remember when I started at HMF. How old I was, like what time? I guess it was right after school, so it would have been June. So I made my first frame a little bit before my 18th birthday. I was into 17 because I graduated early. Not early, but young.
Mm-hmm.
I was either going to be the oldest kid in the class or the youngest, and my parents said the youngest. So mostly because I'm just smarter than most people ever. I have been known to be the smartest being in the universe. So,
Okay.
yeah. Self-proclaimed.
I mean, we can cut that part out.
No, it was a running joke from when I was at the Ely Street House. I always said I was the smartest person being in the universe, and that my brain was so large that I had to build a satellite to communicate with it because I had to store most of my brain in a storage unit. Just being fun and stupid.
That's pretty good, though.
Mostly just to annoy people when I would tell them that I'm way smarter than them, knowing that I'm obviously not smarter than them. I basically quit school in 10th grade. Like when I went to, quit school, like not quit school, but went to vocational school. I've always really enjoyed numbers and math. It's fun to me. I'll play games of just math because it's enjoyable. So when I went to vocational school, they didn't give a fuck about academics at all. It was literally, you're there for trade. The only math that I was required to learn was my decimal equivalencies for sixteenths of fractions of sixteenths. So when we went to the first math class, she gave us our sheet, like our work. Adding and subtracting 3 digits. So I was like, well, I'm done learning. at least this stuff. So I went and we had a TV in the room. So the next, maybe not right off the bat, but very quickly into math class, I just started bringing in Criminal Mischief. And I would grab the TV, wheel it over. It was a vocational school too, so we kind of ran our classes.
Mm-hmm.
It was, mostly not the greatest of students, is why we were, a lot of them were there. Or absolute choice too, because it's way better. But
well, no, I know exactly
better,
what you mean. 'Cause I went to Voc school too.
Okay, yeah.
But I went for CAD.
Yes.
So like, not that we didn't have a lot of kids in there that were just kind of like didn't do well in school, but you kind of didn't have that many of those in the CAD class.
Yeah. Right.
Because you really had to know the math and the stuff going on behind it.
Right.
But you had a couple in there. But then, we were across the street from a whole bunch of the like welding and CNC classes and stuff, and it's like a lot of the guys weren't book smart.
Right.
And
there you go.
I have a good buddy, you probably actually know him, Nick Vosberg. I think you've probably met him in passing.
Probably.
He was in welding class with me.
Okay.
He was like pretty much ready to drop out of high school and they kept treating him like crap and like, if you're not learning in their methods, they treat you like you're stupid. And it's like, no one's stupid.
No.
You're just not being taught right. And I was like, look, man, do yourself a favor and like go check out the vocational school.
Yeah.
They'll bus you up there for the day, let you check it out, see what you're into. You can try a few different classes out. But, like, learn something, set yourself up, don't just drop out.
Yeah. Learn something practical.
He went for welding, and then he ended up going to college for welding, too. And it's like...
Right.
All you needed was to find the thing.
Yes, that's, like a lot of schooling. At least when I was there, the setup's the same as you see in movies based in the 1800s. I know, they're fucking movies. From the 60s, based in the or whatever. But like you're like, yeah, that's how schooling was 200 years ago. It's not practical nowadays. There's far too many of us and far too much other shit going on to go, well, this is what you got to do and how you got to do it. I'm a hands-on learner. I like to be there and do. You practically teach me stuff, I will learn it. But when you just tell me stuff, I'm like, well, why? Why? That's a big one.
Yeah.
To me, that's one of the most important questions is why. Which makes me super happy because my daughter's going through her why phase. She's like, well, why? I'm like, yes. Let's learn why. We're going to go learn why so now you know. And you can't unknow why once you learn why.
Well, and that pairs with what you were talking about yesterday with like, because I said so is not an acceptable answer.
Yeah, she's 2 and I'm already teaching 2.5. Like, if you ask me why and I say because I said so, you can rebuttal. No, not good enough. Give me a legit reason. Or shut up. And I'm like, I'm perfectly fine with you saying shut up if I don't have a legit reason for something. Like, I've had people tell me, it's like I told you yesterday, people tell me it's going to bite me in the ass. I'm like, sort of, but I'd rather have a person who actually thinks as my spawn as opposed to one who doesn't. So, yes.
You're smarter than everyone else that's telling you it's going to bite you, so.
Yeah, so, exactly. I know more than you. No, but once I got into math and we did that, I was like, well, I just started watching Criminal Mischief. The teacher's like, what do you do? I'm like, I'm watching bike videos. Like, you give me anything you can in the stuff that you're teaching in this class, and if I don't get an A, then I will start letting you teach me.
Yeah.
And that never happened, because, we never even, I don't even think we even veered into geometry in that class, which I'm sure we did a little bit because it would be sort of practical, it's practical with welding, but we would learn more of that stuff in the shop than
Mm-hmm.
in the classroom. So I was like, not doing it, you know. I just watched. I would take all the tests and stuff, but I mean, they were easy as shit. I mean, they were,
Yeah.
you know, by the end of junior year, we were back to multiplications with some division, and it's like, wow. I mean, I did this stuff when I was in 6th grade, so
Yeah.
not learning anything here. And then in English class, nobody gave a shit about reading there. So when she was like, all right, open your books up and read the chapters, and we're like,
No.
no, we're not gonna do that. And she's like, really? We're like, yeah. She's like, okay. Well, here's the tests. And then she just start going, and the answer for number 1 is blah, blah, blah. So we all had identical tests because the teacher was just, she gave up. Like, you could tell she was like, hey, at least I know.
Well, and
they're here learning a trade, and they understood.
if you're doing well in your trade,
right,
and it's not like directly related to English
What you're
class
doing.
by any means, it's kind of like,
yeah. She's like, you guys all know how to talk. I can have conversations. You'll do fine.
mm-hmm.
Here, let's learn. We're gonna learn something.
Well,
Filling out a resume.
That's what I was gonna say. That's
That
what
was-
needs to be taught in your English class in a trade school is how to complete a resume, how to update a resume, how to write contact information.
And we did learn stuff like they would teach. Like they spent a little bit more time. Like, all right, you guys are going into the working world. Here's a little bit of like books, like not books, but like banking type of shit. Like to make sure that, you know, when we get a job and we carry on, we can do that. Like we did learn some things
Mhm.
academically there, but for the most part, my education stopped at 10th grade. Academically, anything that I didn't go forward on myself, like I've gotten real into this stuff is sort of washed a little bit, but like trying to learn nutrient, like health
Mhm.
things, like what helps things do what in your body to try to be more healthy while being less active is a big reason why I started learning these things. Because after I had a kid, it's like we are playing a lot and being very active, but it's nowhere near the activity level that you are when you're going to a city and pedaling your bike around
And you're accidentally in
Philadelphia
shape.
for accidentally in great shape for like 12 hours straight when you're eating total garbage like pizza, burgers, fries, the grossest shit, yet you are still in immaculate shape. Your lung capacity is out through the roof. Even the smokers that I knew still had lung capacities that blew most people out of the water.
And blood pressure when you go to the doctors where it's like they're concerned about how low it is.
Yeah, and it's like, no, I'm
very active.
very active. Like my high blood pressure level is on a level that would make your heart explode, you know? Like, and that's how what I'm finding now too. Like I'll start doing the same shit that I'm doing. I'm like, holy fuck. Like like when I go to the gym, like I'll put my hands on the heart rate monitor and it just doesn't do anything that means slow the fuck down. And I'm like, oh, okay, that wasn't even a fraction of what I used to do. Even not that long ago.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, all right, you gotta ease back up towards it. I'm finding.
Yeah.
But also, like, that's when I started going forward and learning, like, what some things help other things do this and that, and so you can start regulating it through diet, because, you know, when you're not just burning everything away, it's nice to know a little bit.
Yeah. I know, when we were younger, we could eat like an 8,000 calorie a day diet like nothing, and you're just like, I'm still losing weight, cool.
Yeah, right? You're like, damn, what do I gotta do to put some pounds on?
But
And then you stop riding so much, you're like, oh, that's all I really gotta do.
The thing we never realized when we were younger as good was, like, you have to drink water the day before you ride,
Yeah.
or it's really going to burn you at some point.
Yeah. I feel that now. I'm not good at water.
Yeah, well, you're like, I'm good, and, like, I don't really need any right now. I'm not riding until tomorrow. I'll hydrate then. Like, nope.
Mm-hmm.
By the time you think you're needing it, you're just done.
Yep, exactly. I went indoor rock climbing recently, and Oh, you find out real quick on that you're like, oh. No, water right now doesn't do shit. Water last night is what I needed.
Mm-hmm.
And throughout the day today, now it's just like, well, I needed that, but like, we'll be using it later.
Yeah.
I'm going to pass it now.
Yeah, it's not going to process
Yeah.
in time to help me.
It's not going to knock your arm pump down to where you can't hold on to a handhold anymore.
It's super weird to have to plan like that, though. Like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to ride my bike.
Yeah.
So today I need to drink a lot of water. And you're like, why don't you just drink a lot of water every day?
Yeah. My wife's real adamant about that because she knows how horrible I am at drinking water. So she's like, one of the first things she bought me was like a massive Nalgene bottle. A big, good 32 ounce. No, this is 32. It might have been a 64 ounce.
Okay.
Oh, and like the second day I had it, we went to an amusement park and we're eating in the back of the car. And the sun was like blinding us, so we backed up to the next spot where there was some shade and I just ran it over. Crushed it 2 days in. I'm like, I think it's a sign I shouldn't drink so much water. It wasn't. It was just me being dumb and leaving it underneath the wheel.
I feel kind of lucky at work. My office is right next to our little kitchen area, so like every time I get up, I can go fill my water bottle and just keep going at it all day long. Like, and I'll drink a lot of it.
Sweet.
And then there'll be like a week where I like don't drink hardly any. And I'm like, I don't know what the deal is this week, but like
garbage.
maybe just like maybe I didn't utilize so much of it last week that my body's just like you don't.
You're all right.
You're good.
We're good, man. When I was in Louisville after I left FBM, I lived in my parents' house for a little bit. I was trying to get a job there, like a quick part-time one, so I quit smoking weed and just did a lot of running and pull-ups and shit to like burn it out. But by the time I left, I didn't get a job because I'm like, I'm going to Louisville. We're just gonna move down there before we go to California, and got a job at Zappos. It was Amazon bought them out semi-recently. That place was awesome to work for. They did 4 10-hour shifts, 4 days, 10 hours.
Mm-hmm.
They catered lunch, had free vending machines, and I mean they were awesome. They didn't pay much, but like I literally wouldn't have to buy breakfast, lunch, or dinner the days that I worked. Like I'd go into the vending machine, free vending machines with like fruits, vegetables, sandwiches. So
microwavable stuff, probably.
Yeah, microwavables. I mean, they still had their candies and sodas and stuff like that too. But at the time, I was really good about eating vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd have breakfast. I'd have like a couple juices, some tomato juice, and then just a packet of vegetables. Lunch, they'd always have catered. Most of the time, they'd have a local restaurant. They'd pay a local restaurant to come in and just have like good food. Well, mostly good food, but like it was never like a fast food burger joint. Never catered there. It was always like gumbo or some like nice but still caterable, obviously, because I think they hired 3,000 because it was temp work for Christmas. They hired I think 3,000 people for the holiday season.
That's wild.
Yeah, it was an open interview. Their drug test was a cotton swab, which makes the most sense. Can you show up sober? Cool. There was a dude there, clearly not sober, just fucking shake John, tweaking, and they cotton swabbed him, and then he was gone while we went through the rest of orientation. But I really, really enjoyed that, and it was a lot of walking. Like I walked everywhere. Invented a new way of packing boxes there. Not invented, but modified a way they had to make it quicker that they forced everybody on the line to change to. And then half the people pissed because it wasn't, don't tell me what to do. Because it was all temp work, so you had a lot of like overly rebellious people.
Yeah, but they will hire the best out of your temp work people. Like,
Yes.
they always want to retain your top maybe 10 to 5%.
Yep.
If they have real good temp workers, they
Yep.
want those people.
Yep. I made it through. They had 3 rounds of layoffs. Once was after season. Second was after returns season. And then third was like the final cleanup. And then I made it through the first round, but I started getting a ride from another guy that worked there that lived near. And literally the second time I got a ride from him was the layoffs, like the first round of layoffs. And I worked my ass off. Like, he would make fun of me, like, we'd get in the car to go home, and I'm like, oh, I'm beat today. He's like, yeah, it's because you just didn't stop moving the whole time. I'm like, yeah, it's called fucking working. So the next day I rode with him. It was layoffs, and I didn't get laid off, obviously, and he did. He's like, man, that fucking bullshit that they laid me off. Like, I got a kid I got to provide for and shit. I'm like, well, you were lazy. You didn't do anything. You made fun of me for moving fast.
You made fun of me for working.
Yeah, you made fun of me for working. I'm like, well, I want to stick around. I'm still going to be in Louisville for a few months. This is my job. I need to keep it. And then I made it through the second round of layoffs, and then it was coming time to move to Cali. And I went to my supervisor. I'm like, hey, I just want to let you know I'm done in a couple of weeks. She's like, no. We'll get you a position. You're going to get a position. I'm like, I really appreciate it, but I'm moving to California. And she's just like, oh, wow, shit, cool. Have fun, man. Enjoy it up there. So, but I mean, I really, really liked working for them. It was low pay, but like treated very well. They gave a shit. And, catering my food for four meals out of, or 4 days out of the week.
Yeah, that's a lot of
savings.
What do they call it? Fringe compensation, I think.
Okay.
Whereas it's not overhead, but it's like this side benefit that no one gets reported on taxes or anything.
Yeah. And they had a Zen room for breaks, so you could just go in there and sit, relax, and read. So I did that a lot. And they also had their returns store was already 50% off of retail. And then every payday, the employees got an extra 55% off. So I would literally go buy a pair of $100 shoes for
$22, something like that.
$22. It was awesome. And, they didn't give a shit how much you bought. So when it was payday, my brother and I both worked there. We would get Leland, because we lived at his house, his girlfriend at the time, some of our other friends, and we'd all go shopping and just put it on my card. So we'd Leland kitted out his whole snowboarding setup. I think mostly just a tire. I don't know if they actually had snowboards. I don't think they did at the time. But mostly like new pants, boots, shirts, jackets, hats, goggles for fucking nothing. And then Leland also got me a job when I was in Louisville setting up trade shows. There's this company, we'd set up a farm machinery trade show. That was like one of their big ones every year. That was awesome. It was just taping carpet down on a floor. Pretty good. He paid us $600 a week. We worked a lot. It was a lot of working, mostly.
It's a lot of like weird hours for that stuff, isn't it? Like because you're not like on a 9 to 5 most of the time.
It was, yeah. We were mostly working 10 hour days just to hammer it out, get it done, and then you got a bunch of cash to relax till the next show. Which wasn't always back to back. So there was after the farm machinery trade show, and you still had to do stuff like during the show. It was super relaxed, but he still needed you there because you still had to do stuff like, oh, this booth needs an extra curtain, so we'll take an extra skirt down and put the curtains up for him and everything. But it was like a lot of times he just sent me out on, because I worked my ass off. I went as fast as I could accurately, and so he would just send me out on the golf cart. He'd be like, all right, take this. It'd be like one bundle of curtains. Hey, take this to the other building. So I would just go drive a golf cart around for a while till I got to because it was a massive building. And then after that, we set up a car show, which was fucking cool. Like the amount of like badass cars they had there. A lot of the cars were so clean that then when they would display them, they would put a mirror underneath underneath of the car so that you could see how perfectly pristine the undercarriage of the car still was. And you're like, damn, that's a 1967 fastback, and it is just polished on the underside of the fucking car.
Mm-hmm.
You're almost like, you even drive that? That was trailered here, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You don't even put that on the road, which, I mean, I still would, but I guess if some people give a shit about things more, where they're going to spend $40,000 and not drive it.
It's weird to care about things as a show item. And
to me,
you know what?
especially.
Maybe I just don't get it, and that's cool.
Yeah. No, that's my thoughts on it, because I don't care. It's cool that you do. You do you, man. I don't care.
Like, I was talking to Vince out in Cleveland the one day, and he's like, yeah, talking about collecting the old school bikes and the mid school bikes and stuff, and he's like, get all these guys that are like, I can't believe you ride that thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I don't own it to not ride it.
Yeah, why would I not have, you know?
Like, if I didn't like this bike or the way it rode, like, I would get rid of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You
Right.
go like, oh, it's a neat looking piece of shit. Here, I'll sell it to somebody else.
Yeah.
And then, oh, I like this one. I'll keep this one.
Yeah, this one's fun to ride once in a while.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm not a nostalgic person, so I don't really get that whole thing. Not that I think there's a problem. Do whatever you want. I'll even help you if I can.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just not my thing. Like, I've always, every time I've built a new frame, I've always given my old frame away. My buddy Nate Morishan, he worked at Tip Plus for a while, and he was always sending me parts whenever I need them for my bike. So when I'd get a new one, I'd always give everything away. To, you know, somebody that needed it, somebody that didn't need it. Just here, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
You want it? He'll send me more spokes if we need to build it up to a different rim, or if it was a hub, or whatever. Man, if the internet was around like strong back then, I think we'd have had like a real crew going with like sponsorships and shit. Because Nate was all about it, like hooking us up,
Mm-hmm.
the TMA thing. But I mean, we just didn't. There wasn't a super medium to pump out content like there is now, which is, to me, pretty fucking cool.
Yeah. That's a fun one to listen to people's takes on.
Because
is
they're
social
so
media
polar
and-
opposite.
Yeah.
A lot of them. Like, I'm very moderate in most of my thinking because I understand there's normally two schools of
Mhm.
extreme thought, both right and wrong at the same time, because there's
Mhm.
never black and white. All right, rarely. But, like, I like the fact that the media is so, video-wise especially, losable. Not really the fact that it's losable, but the fact that anybody can utilize it and
It's accessible.
is very accessible to anybody. I think the only problem that we really have with it is the organization of it. That it's so easy to lose shit, even if you really like it, because it's not like, when we would buy DVDs when we were younger, we put it on a shelf. And then when you'd look through your shelf, you'd go, ooh, that one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now you're like, fuck, what do I want? What do I... and you just have to keep browsing and scrolling through a whole bunch of other shit that's irrelevant.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of crap too. So there's no like quality filter.
Yeah.
And that kind of starts with like the Come Up would post nearly anyone's video at the very, very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And that led to like a lot of like you get so much crap that you're like, I'm not gonna watch all this, right?
Right.
I'll watch, okay, here's a name, I'll watch this one, this
Mhm.
one's street edit, alright, I'll watch that.
Right.
And, eventually you're like, okay, I'm clicking on almost every one of these, I might as well watch the other one that I didn't.
Yeah.
But over time, that collection just builds, and it spawns a whole bunch of people putting out more content, because like, oh, my stuff can get on there too,
Mm-hmm.
to where at some point they kind of started being selective, which was a good thing.
To a point, yeah. I think
But-
the thing that we that I put a decent amount of thought into it, but could kind of change is I'll pretty much watch anything. If I don't like it, I'll stop. But what would be nice is if I watched everything and go, oh, this random fucking kid is awesome to watch ride. I want to drag his folder or his video to a indexable spot to where I can scroll through these things. Like have it like in a, I don't know if there is because I'm not super savvy with a lot of that shit. I don't go on the computer, the phone a lot, but so far what I haven't found is this like organizable collection that you can kind of build for yourself, for your own personal. I think
you can favorite stuff on YouTube, so then you've got like a favorites list.
Okay. I guess that's a way to do it, but it's so vague, you know?
Yeah.
It'd be cool to be able to organize it how you like to, because like when I loved collecting movies when I was younger. I did do a lot of movies, but I like to watch them, and I'd rewatch the shit out of movies. But I would like break up how I organize. Sometimes I'd organize them by actor. Sometimes I'd organize them just by name, you know, alphabetical. It was always alphabetical, whether it was by actor or just straight up. What your sub
categorization was.
But to be able to, I mean, I don't know nothing about building anything on the computer, but to have something to where you can organize your own thing to like, I like watching these right before I go ride. Here's my before you go ride list. What do I want to watch today? Here's my I'm eating dinner. I want to watch these videos list. They're kind of longer, more drawn out, less excitable, but great to watch still. Those type of videos. So you can watch. You would be able to get allow anybody to have come through your feed, and if you do like it, and it's just some random fucking kid in some God knows what town, you can put it in a spot that's a lot easier to access to continue watching it. But I mean, I'm also not on there constantly to know that maybe you can do that. I just don't know.
I'm not much of a YouTube guy.
Yeah.
And it just feels really difficult to use in some ways.
Especially because if you watch anything besides.
But also, you were talking about the DVD collection. Like, you can put your DVD on the shelf, and you can come back to that, and you'll go, as soon as you see the cover, or even the side of the DVD, you go, oh man, this part was so good in that video, this part was awesome. I forget what so-and-so's part was, but all of his other parts are good, so this one's probably good too. I'm going to watch this right now.
Yeah.
And you've got a visual reminder to cue up all those different things, whereas, just a random edit from even a dude you like, there's no visual reminder to go, I really want to check this one out right now.
So that's my big
That's what you're looking for, though, is, something to scroll through.
Where I think it would be good to, you'd have somebody have to build it. And I don't know how to do it, so it can't be me. I mean, I'd love to try to learn. I would love, because I love learning new shit. I would love to try to learn to do that shit, but I don't have time. Literally, I don't have enough time. So I would, but to where you could go, say you've watched a video and you like it a lot, you can drag it over, it says the name, and it'll have some sort of visual to go with it, like a screen grab, or it almost becomes a digital shelf.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a digital shelf, and you can line it up for, full screen grab. A sideways, it's almost like the spine of a DVD that's, I don't know how and what that might entail, though. It could be completely ridiculous for our industry, or it could be kind of cool and useful.
It could be cool.
I mean, I think it could be, because, it'd be able to catalog everything you like. I don't see a downside other than somebody has to do a little bit of work.
Yeah. Yeah, and let you really sort out the crap that you don't care for. I don't want to watch vlogs.
Yeah, that's not my thing.
So, anything that's categorized as a vlog doesn't show up to me.
Right. Yeah. And, the thing with YouTube is, it's not always, I like watching a lot of comedy. And I'll watch a lot of people on, Conan and talk shows, because I like to just get a good laugh. To where, when you do go to scroll, you're fucking going through a whole bunch of stuff, comedy. When I was at FBM, it was John Lee watched a lot of RC stuff, so I'd be going past comedy, RCs. Dylan watched a lot of hunting stuff. Just going through so much other stuff to even find the bike videos that I would want to browse. So I would pretty much use Dig and Ride Now Hour to watch my content.
Yep. Yeah.
Dig always seemed to have a lot, at least initially. I don't know how I haven't been on it since really FBM with our internet situation at my house, but a good filter of things to where when you go to Dig, it was more or less a lot of known stuff. You know what I mean? Like known guys' edits, known companies, and they had their own locals, which I really dug. I dig the Dig locals. It's awesome. But yeah, I mean, I'm not good with shaky filming. So when I go to watch a video and it's just I'm having a seizure while I'm attempting to watch it, you're like, there's a digital stabilizer in most editing programs. Just run your clips through it, re-render it, and then put it out, and I'm not going to get a headache. I'm not a big fan, personally, of super wide angles. Like, I've seen a video where dude grinds a rail, and I could read the serial number in his bottom bracket. He's, like, underneath on the rail. Like,
I'm okay with a wide angle. I don't like fisheye.
Fish, yeah.
And I know I've talked about it, but like I hate when you need 4 angles to show a trick, and the 4th angle is the long lens where you go, could have just shown me that one.
Yeah, I love. You gotta have variety. Wide is great, close is good. I'm a big fan of the long. I'm not a big fan at all of the fish when people are riding, foot high flat ledges. It's great. Do your shit, man. Film you. But you don't need to put the camera like almost bumping rocks on the ground. We know it's a foot high flat ledge. Just
exactly.
Show us the setup. Show us the scene. I'm a big fan of watching the scene of what's going on. Like, let me see the run up. Like when you're doing a rail, I like the long views where you're showing the run up coming in, the rail, the thing going out, the trick, I mean, obviously, especially with all these, with rail stuff, tricks in and out, you do kind of need to get a little bit closer to show sometimes.
Or like stuff in an alleyway where it's just a narrow passage or something. Like, what other option do you have? You pop it on wide and it looks good.
Yeah. But not every shot should be fish. Not every shot should be sniffing up the asshole of whoever's riding.
Yeah, like wide to like just get a better field of view, more like what we're looking at right now, is awesome. Mm-hmm. But fish where I can see what Tom's doing while I'm pointing the camera at you is like, it's
a little, and it distorts it. So if that's your thing, do it. But that's where I would be cool to have things sort of catalog. Not saying I won't watch it, because I will try to watch it. If it gets in the, and I'm not a, if it's a really bad song, I'll stop. I've tried, like John Lee, I know he would have YouTube muted a lot. Because he'd still, but it's so weird to me to watch a video.
It's tough to watch a video with no music.
And John Lee always played, he had music playing. It's even still weird to me watching an edit with music that's just not with the edit, I'm like, this is definitely off. I mean, I'll still, if it's good, I'll still watch it. If your song's awful, I might fight through it if it's that good, if I'm like, damn, this is worth suffering through this awful mumble rap. Sorry. But that's mostly my biggest one. But yeah.
But there was a whole period of time where that was all you got. And it still kind of is, because everyone can download it off SoundCloud and there's no copyright infringement involved with it.
And I totally get that. That's why I still will try to watch it as much as I can.
But it's so frustrating to be like, I just want a good song. And granted, you know, when you're looking at heavy tech flat ledge tricks, most of the time the rap does work for it.
Mm-hmm. Even, I mean, I listen to a lot of rap, but it's that weird. Also, as I'm getting older, I really do listen to lyrics, and I'm like a lot of songs that I used to listen to, I'm like, oh yeah, no, that's fucking atrocious.
Mm-hmm.
Why? I'm listening to the lyrics now and not just using it as extra noise. This is awful. This is awful fucking music.
Yeah, I don't really care for this anymore.
Yeah, I mean, even a lot of this stuff that when I would listen to it, I knew it was awful. I just laughed because I thought it was funny. But, I don't know. Anyways. Yeah.
Videos.
My brother and I started making videos. I think our first video we made was when we were 15. Our uncle got us, he fixed people's computers, and he built us a client. He built up a client's computer for us and gave us editing software on it. Its hard drive, we had, I think we had 8 VHS-C tapes with all our footage on it, maybe a couple more. But our hard drive was only big enough to edit one part at a time. So we'd go through all 8 tapes, capture the footage for, Jordan's part. Edit Jordan's part, burn it to a tape, delete everything off the hard drive. Go through all 8 tapes to get my brother's footage. Edit it, burn it to, copy it to their tape, delete all the footage. When we had, I think it was around an 8 or 9 part video. So we did that with every single part. We had to go through the tapes every time, capture each person's footage or the random section's footage or the contest footage, and then burn it to a tape. And then when we printed our own labels out, the video named itself when we went to save it. It said Untitled, so that was what we called it. We're like, oh, the computer named it for us, Untitled. Well, we called it Untitled because it made us laugh. So we knew it was Untitled, but we said Untitled a lot of the times because it said tit. We were 15. But we made our own labels for it, and we wrapped it in cellophane and sold it at Changa, and sold a lot of copies. It was $5, I think. I think it was $5 sitting on the counter, and Carrie and Anthony Psycho sold the shit out of them. And every time we'd show up, they'd be like, all right, we need more. Like, what? Why? All right. We suck at bike riding, but we had a Jason Beckham. He's super fucking good. He filmed his whole part in a night, and it's still better than most. It was by far the best one out of all of them. But yeah, then we made our second video when we were in Binghamton, and it sold. We made a DVD. My brother printed out all the discs, and he bought stamps to stamp. It was called TMA Blow My Fuse. He bought stamps to put on there, and he stamped each one. Printed out each paper, folded. He packed each box or each package of the DVD. We sold a decent amount, and then one time, it was while we were last call, they were our distributor for it. Herbals came out one day and he's like, I just got 49 orders for your DVD to send to Japan. So my brother had to go home and burn 50 copies of the video to send to Japan.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we were like, wow. Fuck yeah, some Japanese distributor bought 50 copies of our video. Hell yeah. I mean, it was also super cheap. My brother did it all by hand.
Yeah.
So it was like, you don't have to charge a lot for that. They're like, yeah, well, I can buy those. What was it, $7 a piece, $5 a piece? Yeah.
Burning individual DVDs one at a time, that sucks.
Yeah. Well, when we did the Untitled, we had 2 VHS copies. So each time we made a copy, you had to play the video.
Yep.
From the master copy. So we sold probably 50, 60 copies of that video. So we quit watching it, obviously, but we basically had to watch each copy, or at least keep an eye on it to know when it was done,
Yep.
Stop it.
I plan to buy a duplicator if
Yeah.
I finish my video that I'm working on.
Sweet.
I shouldn't say if, because I really am going to,
Yeah.
but Like, I've had a lot of other things going on.
Mm-hmm.
But a 5-to-1 duplicator is like $250.
Oh, shit, yeah.
So if I can crank 5 copies out at probably like a 4.7 times write speed or something like that.
Yeah. It's not going to take long, easy to do. Sit down here, play some video games, switch the discs out.
Yep.
Play some more, climb
Over
over
and
your buddies
over.
or whatever it is.
Mount your friends.
Mount your friends.
That game's so funny.
It's so ridiculous. I could not stop laughing. Just a bunch of swinging dicks. All right, till they freeze, and then they're frozen dicks.
Yeah. Frozen dicks. Play Mount Your Friends on Steam. We talked a lot about what you're planning to do with frames and work. Do you have any plans for, like, I guess, what are the plans, like, to grow the business, right?
One of the big things that I want to do is I want to be able to go out to my garage, have a bunch of raw materials, and build a frame. Obviously, this is my big plan. It's not going to be a cheap plan by any means, but I would like to find a used CNC lathe, learn how to run it, write the program so I can process my own head tubes when I need to, or do a bunch, or even do side work around, like, because I want to do random fabrication shit too.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I like building things in general. So that way I would be able to open up my, areas where I could build anything. I could build a bunch of custom end tables or something, which is something I would really like to do. So that would help there. I'd like to learn how to heat treat. I just like learning new shit. So I'd like to learn how to heat treat dropouts and do a bunch of fucking dropouts. Just get my own laser cut. Whether I do it myself, which I would eventually like to be able to do. Kerry Sayers, the one in Ohio, he does all my laser cutting currently because it's awesome especially having your friends be able to be part of it with you is fucking really cool. That's is really cool. So and he's super stoked to do it, and he's going to be doing some dropouts soon for me to finish up these frames that I have going right now, and some cable stops, just the cable stops for now. Maybe do gussets, but I'm another buddy. His work just got a tubing laser cutter, so I'm going to see if we can set up sometime soon. Making gussets that way because I prefer to do laser cut tubes for the gussets. For one, no forming. You just taps and bend in a little bit and fits on like a glove, and it's instant, like tap tap tack and weld. And it's also a chromoly tube right there, so it's strong as fuck.
Those tubing laser cutters are pretty sweet, just the way, it's just a rotary indexer.
Yeah.
And a laser, but on a vertical too, so it just goes around and cuts. It's pretty awesome.
His work, he just showed, it's a massive fucking place. I forget I think he said 100,000 square feet is the building that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
He made me my new bending die, and he was showing me around the shop. They got this CNC mill thing that's,
The 5-axis?
No, it's well, I think so. It's got a conveyor belt of 6 or 7 these giant tombstones that has a bunch of different tool holders, and it's fucking crazy. I don't even know what the hell it's called, but they just bought a new tubing laser cutter for $1.5 million, and it can you can just load a whole slab of tubing on there of whatever shape. If it's angle or channel, it's got this like feeler gauge thing that it puts it up to. The lasers find what tubing it is, what material it is, tells you if the wrong material is loaded. Also, it'll go, oh, it's channel. It needs to be loaded this way for start. So it figures all that out. It does drilling. Well, not drilling. I mean, it could do drilling, but it lasers the holes. But it'll do tapping. And he said the one time they had the first job that they ran, it was running so fast that the dude couldn't even grab the parts off the rack and stack them on the pallet and keep up. He's like, it's fucking bonkers. And he's like, we could do a whole stick of tube like gussets in a couple minutes. But I mean, you also have to pay for the $1.5 million machine, so I'm sure they'll they'll have some cost to them to a point, unless his boss is like,
I mean, you're
learn the machine.
They want the machine, so it's not your fault that they're running it on the expensive one.
Right.
But you're going to the shop that has the capabilities to do far more than what you actually need.
Yeah. So, but pretty excited to start that one, because I'd really like to have, my own gussets.
Yeah.
There that I don't have to hand cut out, because I'm gonna make a jig, and if I can't get this going soon, to where I can perfectly replicate gussets, but I will be cutting them by hand out of tubes, pre-mitered tubes, which will be fine. Nothing wrong with it, just time consuming.
Yeah, I can see
very
that.
time consuming. It'll be less because I'm going to make a good jig to where I'll miter the tube so it has the fit to the head tube, and then I'll make the clamp jig to where I'll clamp it in and I'll just cut here, trace there on the cut out of some thick material. Try not to cut into it. It'll be fine. Just more time consuming than. You want to laser cut these for me?
Yeah, right.
Clearly, obviously, but.
Yeah, well, and after the first one, you just go, hey, I need to reorder 100 of these.
You got the program. They know where the tubing comes from, Yeah, we order tubing all the time. We'll buy it. And the cool part about that place, too, is that might bring it down, is they order so much fucking tubing that they don't pay much more than steel weight for their product. I mean, the companies, their steel mill has to make money still. But, they're ordering in such massive quantities that they probably pay one of the lowest amounts, needed.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, but it was really cool going in there, and he designed he helped me design the die. Him and his buddy cut it, who they both ride. So it's fucking awesome to have. So far, everything that's been even sourced is sourced from somebody who rides. Which,
that is really cool.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, that's how I would like to try to keep it as much as possible. Because it's just, it's unnecessary, but it's awesome. It's, it's fun to say.
Yeah.
And it's, cool for your community. And, it's not like it's rocket science. So, you don't feel like, oh, I probably should go to the biggest company to have these things made to make sure that, not even make sure that, because they know what they're doing, but you know what I mean. And
yeah, But you can throw the money away, or you can try to keep it a little bit within BMX.
Right.
In some way.
I get to try to keep the money in my community as much as possible, which is what we all should be doing.
In an ideal world, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. In an ideal, but I also like to live with ideals, so.
Yeah, and I'll
try to as much as possible.
Use the same example that I think everyone kind of fights with is, I'm not paying $8 for a tube at a local bike shop.
Yeah.
As much as I would like to, I can get 4 of them at Walmart for $12, and guess what? It's a better tube most of the time, actually. Yeah.
Yes. One of the things that I want to do with all of my frames, which I almost missed this, I'm gonna send grease and a shop rag in the box of all the frames. So that way even if you have your own grease, there's at least grease and a shop rag coming in. And I bought a bunch of 1 1/4 ounce sealable mason jars that I'll put the wax, the grease in a wax paper and put in the jar. And the jar fits in the bottom bracket, so I'll wrap it in the shop rag and put it in the bottom bracket so we're not breaking the glass jar. Right? Also, don't really like using plastic if I can avoid it. But also then you got a portable shot glass for yourself, or you're, weed your thing. You got a little stash bottle. It's not like you wouldn't have it already, but it's fun to have. It's fun to give out. You can use it for whatever the fuck you want, nuts and bolts, but it's usable. Probably unnecessary to do, but it cost. I think each jar was like 55 cents. So, the fuck is 55 cents when you're buying a frame from me?
Right.
To have a spot where you have grease and you have rags. So even if you get it on the run, you can just rub the grease in your head tube, your bottom bracket, put your bike together, and be on your fucking way.
Yep.
So, and you got a shop rag there to clean your hands up, and I have a screen printer, so it's gonna have my logo in it.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty sweet.
I'm very excited about it. It's like such a stupid little pointless thing that I'm excited about. Because it cost me, what? Maybe a total of $2 and some time, which, whatever.
Watch. Someone else can be doing it before you even get your first batch done now.
I actually stole the shop rag idea from White House.
Okay.
I ordered some bar ends from him, and he sent them wrapped in the shop rag. I'm like, ingenious. As soon as I got it, I'm like, I'm stealing. I'm using that idea. I'm like, by all means, I will say this is where I got the idea from, but I'm fucking using it because that's ingenious. So, I mean, even if I didn't put a logo on it, sending it with a rag is all that's necessary, because you can buy 100 of those red shop rags for, I think I bought 100 for $25.
Mm-hmm.
So, whatever.
Yeah. We get them for work from a local auction house, and they're almost half the price of those.
Yeah.
So if you can find an auction house that sells rags.
Oh, and I'm sure I can, because I just went on Amazon real quick. Shop rags. Oh, there's some.
Yep.
Ship it. But if I actually looked for a better source for them, I could probably find them for much cheaper too.
Yep.
So it was just a quick spur of the moment thought while I was taking a shit looking on my phone. I'm like, oh yeah, the shop rag idea. Let me find those. There's some. I'm done pooping. Let's get out. They're ordered.
Yeah, shop rags are. That's gonna be cool.
How close to idiocracy are we?
And then, I mean, all you gotta do is have a grease gun. You can pump your jars full of grease like nothing.
Yeah. So, pack a little wax paper in there, squirt the grease in. I don't know if I will at first, because I'm running out of funds at the moment, but I have good grease. But I'm gonna probably switch to a Phil Wood just because. It's sort of expensive and practical, but good grease, so why not?
Yeah, and it's at best it's a marketing tool anyway. Like, comes with Phil Wood grease, and everyone that knows is gonna go.
Thank you.
There we go.
Cool. Yeah. So I might even just say fuck it. I mean, it's not that much, and fuck it. I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna go home and buy it
after your
right
first
now.
Pre-order or whatever. Then it's all right. We'll get this before we ship these out.
I'm not that broke. I can buy fucking $20 thing of grease that's gonna last for 50, 60 frames. What am I talking about?
Phil Wood is definitely the best for installing sealed cartridges.
Yeah.
For a loose ball, it's not necessarily the best because it spreads to the side.
Okay.
And it kind of doesn't really get on the bearings anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But for a cartridge, it's definitely the best.
Yeah, because that shit's real water resistant too.
Yeah,
right?
it's waterproof.
If anyone's buying a work frame and putting loose ball bearings in there,
that's what I'm saying. For work, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Because it's the best for a sealed cartridge.
So I'm definitely gonna just buy that. But they will all come with Bill Wood grease.
Do they all come with a complimentary bearing dropped in the chainstay so that every time you land?
We've discussed it. Only for our friends.
Yeah, that'd be so awful. Get a frame that already has a bearing dropped in.
And I'll make the vent hole just too small
So
to get it out.
It's super hard.
you actually welded it with it in there.
Yeah. I put it in the chainstay, or I tacked it up, slid it up the stay cap, welded the cap on, and then said, "Good luck, fuckers."
I always like doing it to seat tubes.
Okay.
Like pulling the seat out, dropping it in.
Mm-hmm.
It's so quick and dirty.
Yeah. There may have been poop in someone's bottom bracket at one point out of a certain bike shop in
I've heard of people
Vestal.
doing milk, putting milk in there. I know a lot of the dude who was saying that he did the milk was because it was a sealed, the vent hole in the seat tube wasn't there because it's got a vent while you weld it out. Whatever particular frame this was, it didn't have a vent in the seat in the bottom bracket, so it just held the milk. And
Jeez.
like a long time later, the dude went to take his seat off and was like,
Ugh.
Gross.
fun.
Yeah, asshole. No. That's a
Uh,
funny fucking joke.
yeah. I mean,
To a point.
like, drop a piece of fish in there or something.
The ones that rot and like you don't know about for a while, those can like make you have to get rid of your frame.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the smell will literally just seep in.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
The milk is gross though, because it wouldn't like come out. It would be so just stuck down there and it's capped, so you'd have to go in with a light and see what the deal is.
Yeah.
Rough. Just
So
pours
bad.
out like this. I'm not even thinking about it anymore. It's gonna be sick.
Scrape it out.
Yeah. But so with work, I'm gonna do a few stock frames eventually. Once I start getting some things rolling, like I got the first batch I'm doing, the first run of frames is gonna be the nub frames, and I overbought tubing so I can finish up. I have about 5 customs lined up, and I overbought for 7 of my production of the Tempest frame. Or if somebody goes, "Hey, I want to get a custom,"
Mm-hmm.
I go, well, all right, 6 then. 6 of the stock frames, but they also haven't been built. So if there is a want for a pre-order, I will have my website up shortly. It's done, just not functional. I don't have it linked to any bank account, so nobody can make a purchase. Done purposely, so that way somebody didn't go, "Oh, let me get one then." Not ready yet.
Yeah, like if you're interested right now, just hit up DMs probably on Instagram or something.
DMs. I mean, I plan on finishing up the website soon. I switched banks, yet they haven't set up my online. I'm kind of not happy with the bank, which I'm almost always happy with this bank to a point. But I haven't gotten my card yet. It's been over 2 weeks. And I haven't gotten the information so I can set up my online account, so I can link my PayPal to it to utilize it and turn the website on functionally. So, but it's gonna have, be ready for pre-orders to start if you wanted to modify the geometry. I plan on doing the next frame I want to do is a big batch of like a trails type frame.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then the frame I'm doing now is sort of an aggressive all-round frame. I guess you can use the word aggressive. It's a shorter back end to be snappier and more of an all-round frame guided towards my riding style, which is more street-like, but I love riding ramps, so it's good there. And then it'll probably be generally 4 stocks, more of like a big transitions frame, a trail frame, and then kind of more of a street frame. Eventually, not right off the bat, because it takes time.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
time moves slow sometimes. Like right now, it's very, very slow.
You're kind of in a waiting point while you wait for your tubing and everything, and
Yeah.
I
I still have fixtures to
Some-
finish, but ideas to build them just need the parts to get here so I can do so.
Mm-hmm.
And do it as I go for the first frame, so that way I can work out any kinks that may pop up in the midst of, as opposed to trying to come up with a kink going, oh, it's the kink's there, but if I did it now that I've already got it done, I almost have to redo something, so that way I have an idea that I almost know for sure will work for the setup that I have currently. My ideal setup, I still need to get a decent amount of orders in so I can order the vices that I want, so I can make the vice jaws that I prefer. I like the 6-inch clamping surface. 6, 5, one of those. I think it's 6. The 6, so I need to get a 6-inch jaw. I need to get a angle plate. The mill I'm using, I'm borrowing from my brother. I drove down to Louisville to get it. That was a fun trip. But yeah, he bought one. He found a used mill, got a really fucking good price on it, and he hasn't been able to use it yet. So I got it, cleaned it up, put it together. It's from 1954, and it spins like a top. So very excited to do that. And it came with a vise that it moves in 3 different accesses. So I can hold a part, it's great for machining, semi-practical for frame building, because it does do my angle pivots and it's indexable. So
that's awesome.
I can go, yep, straight to 15, or well, 15 is not really a number, but straight to 18 and a half, and I got my angle fucking spot on, or 18.1 degrees, as I start to slowly walk it in, so its fit is fucking perfect.
Yeah.
Which is key to a straight frame, is good fit and weld sequence.
No gaps.
No gaps to pull, because it will fucking pull. It pulls without any gaps. It'll pull if you don't weld it in the right order. But especially with gaps, it'll definitely have some movement. But yeah, get rid of gaps, which is easy to do in production, more difficult in customs. That's why customs cost a decent amount more, because you really got to slowly walk it into fit. And if it doesn't fit, you got to toss that stay aside, hope that it works on a different bike, make a new stay, make the correction necessary, and then slowly walk it in to make sure it's got its tight fit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's got to be like pretty much where no light will go through the gap, right?
Yeah.
It's roughly where
ideally,
it is.
that's what you want. You don't want to be able to stick anything through there. If it's tight on the top, it needs to be pretty tight on the tight on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So otherwise, if it moves, it's wide. Or straight up, that would be wide, because it's welding. It pulls. I mean, you can, I wouldn't do it on a frame because it's really impractical. But making something massive, if you got a little gap, like building a table, you put a bunch of tacks around that, and it won't really move.
Mm-hmm.
At least, making a table wise, if it moves a 16th, you can put that back.
Yeah.
It's a table. It's not going through road vibrations and all that jazz.
Heavy impacts.
Heavy impacts. Yeah, dropping down 20 stairs. You go, why did my frame twist? Well, you landed sideways on a 360 down a 20 stair. Yep.
There was no amount of good frame building that was going to prevent that from happening.
No, it's just steel. Everything breaks.
You 270 to 20 stair.
Yeah. You survived. Frame did not. Frame should not. Wheels will not.
Yeah.
All right, maybe
but
not. Should not, but
it
might not.
failed in a controlled, expected manner.
Yeah.
That prevented you from getting hurt. So.
Exactly. That's the worst thing. Landing sideways while rotating is probably one of the harshest things that you can do to a frame. Just the twisting torque of landing like that will eventually always break a frame. I've always experimented as much as I can with as weak of bikes as possible, just to see what can take.
Mm-hmm.
When I was riding very hard and fairly sketchy, I had an all 035 top frame bike, no gussets, and it took about 6 months to crack it, which was longer than I expected. And I broke it on a FIBA 180 down this like semi-rough little kinked, not super little, but kinked ledge. I finally cracked the top tube. And I was like, I mean, and I did. I did came out of the 180 and I landed slightly bar turned, so I bent my wheel too, torqued the fuck out of the frame and cracked the top tube. So you're like, 6 months, that's not bad for as much, like, and that's when I rode a fucking lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, get out of work and ride until 2 a.m. and just eat a piece of pizza while we're out. Landing sideways at speed fucks frames up. As it should.
Yeah.
And it fucks bars. I mean, everything's just still. It all breaks.
Yeah. Well,
and if you don't, fuck it, man. Like, my frames rarely break, but, you know, they don't never break.
Yeah, but something else, like, something has to fail.
Yeah, something's got to give.
And
if it's not the frame, it's going to be something else.
Like, I went back to some thick metal pedals last year before for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say within a few weeks of putting them on, I broke my cranks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I went from snapping the spindle of pedals to now I rip the boss off of a crank, and I'm like, maybe I like snapping the pedal off a little bit more.
It's a little bit cheaper of a replacement.
But also, like, funny where it just, I was going to break something.
Yeah, something's got to give. I mean, and that's, as I was talking to John Lee, a couple of years ago, I was like, how is our, warranty? Like, what comes through? And he's like, dude, I don't think I've warranted a frame in years. Like, they're just built well and...
Not since the complete bikes.
Yeah. Well, so we had a bunch of autopilots and deployers break, and eventually I figured out...
the head tube, down tube junction, right?
Top tube, head tube junction. But really what we figured out what the problem was we had a run of head tubes that ended up being too thin. And the head tubes were giving way. And I noticed it because at the time we were doing larger vent holes for weight savings. It was like around the time of like heavyweight weenie weight saving stuff. When we went too far to the 8-pound frame, we went way too far to we FBM didn't go super far, but we started teetering on the edge of too far in the other direction. And the head tubes got machined a little bit thin. I don't know if it was the wrong material or what the problem was, but I noticed one of the autopilots that came back, the head tube was bent, and I was like, "What the fuck? How do you bend a head tube?" Like, oh, it must have been the large vent hole. Pivoted around that, but I'm like, it's tucked in the tube. So I cut the head tube off, and we had a run of thin head tubes, and that's where that problem actually stemmed from. And they were skinnier, so the weight positioning of the bearings on the cups was a little bit further over the frame as well.
Okay.
Which also aided in the breakage. So that's really why they ended up. We had a bunch of them break around that time period, and then we got we switched the head tube back bigger and
problem goes away.
Problem went away. I mean, we also started putting gussets. Those are also 1.5-inch tubes, so stout. But then pretty much everything gets a gusset on it, because why not?
It doesn't cost that much extra.
We should probably think about wrapping up soon.
Cool. I don't know what time it is.
It's about 3 o'clock.
Yeah. Oh shit. Okay.
Because I know you also wanted to do a form quick, which is not going to take that much time.
Okay.
We just got a long drive.
Yeah. That's right. We got 6 hours.
Not trying to.
I've been kind of watching this as well.
Okay.
New York
I keep glancing over.
In the dark.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, I should be moving soon.
Yeah. So I guess like anything else. We can cut, and we can always pick up another time or whatever too. Once you're rolling, might be a good time to like just touch base.
Yeah, I mean that would be great. Follow me on I have the shop's Instagram at Corts Metalworks on Instagram.
I'll post it in the description.
Yeah, that's all I got. I have the website, which I was hoping to finish it to say it today, but maybe we'll post it up in the description. Or
I can always edit
later.
the description later.
Yeah. So
Once you've got it up.
I won't speak it. We'll just write it. Check back again. I'll look on my page.
Yeah.
If you're following me on Instagram, you'll see it pop up when it's up. So.
And then, yeah, because at that point you should have a better idea of what you're doing for, like, whether it's team, crew, sales, however you're gonna approach that.
More things
costing.
will be solidified. Yeah. Because right now I just need to start making something, and then I can start figuring out what I really am gonna pursue next to go the next route of that type of shit. But
Yeah.
super fucking excited. Very, very, very stoked.
Glad to be doing it on your own.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Meh. Mostly. Mostly on my own, but like now I have to do. I mean, Tom helps out. My buddy
Mhm.
Brian Keelb helps out. Like a lot with it, but I mean, a lot of it is me. You know?
I think you're gonna have a lot of support from, like, the local community,
Yeah.
because at least that upstate New York scene,
Mm-hmm.
there wasn't much, like, illusion around, like, yeah, John's the one welding our frame. Like, I'm buying, whether it's branded FBM or work or whatever,
Yeah.
you're buying a John Corts frame.
Right. Right.
So I know that from being up in that area. A lot of that local scene does, but probably by the time you reach down here,
It's filtered away.
yeah, it's filtered away. It's just the brand.
Yeah.
So I know that's what you're really trying to do is, like, hey, I'm still going to be your guy building these frames. So,
Same
like,
frames, same frame jig, although that's, I know what I'm doing, so even when I build a new one, it's
yeah.
same frame. The weld sequence, I believe, is really what makes it, obviously accuracy of setup, but what really makes it sort of stand differently than most.
Yeah.
It's the weld sequence that Dave taught me when I started years and years ago, and I believe he was even taught that by Frank. Frank the welder had it all fucking figured out. So.
And all your tools and stuff were bags. That dude.
That's a whole nother podcast.
That dude, I don't know him, never met him. Heard a lot of interesting stories.
I loved finishing my shit as quickly as I could, and then just going back there and talking to him. His mind was just something else, something amazing. Is something amazing. It's just another level of crazy genius. Crazy genius. But, yeah,
all right.
So we should probably finish
Yeah, we'll close up so I can help you out with that other thing, show you what to do with that, and then
Cool.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out, checking out another episode.
Yeah.
Make sure you go follow J Corts Metalworks on Instagram. See what comes of this awesome adventure, because it's going to be good. And catch you guys later.